Josh Biggins.
Oh, feels good.
There's nothing that really defines one thing that defines Josh Biggins, isn't it?
I literally design it that way. If you're definable, you're constrainable.
That
So.
That's
exactly.
from Sun Tzu, right?
Yeah.
We're not gonna have any formal introduction to Josh because there's no way we could actually do that. You know what I'm saying? Like Josh is not a one-dimensional human being. He's a soul, man. He's an unfiltered soul.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, man, there's really no formal introduction to Josh, and like he's just an interesting human being, and he has a lot to say, and man has a lot of experiences that we're gonna dig into today. You know, that I think a lot of people might find interesting.
We have some stories. We have some stories to tell.
Yes, sir.
I got a story to tell.
But you know what's we were talking about the other day, Josh, and I actually just I want to bring up this topic again because it stood out to me last time we were having steak dinner. But I want you to tell us, how do you feel about Western white women?
Oh, oh my God, y'all want to joke it, right?
We're jumping right in.
You guys weren't joking, right? What an introduction. What an introduction. Listen, we live in a PC age, right? We live in a politically correct age. However, we got to be realists. So this is a joke. Es una joda, pero no es una joda. It's a joke, but it's not a joke. So let me just say, first and foremost, we just lay the ground rules here before we get into this discussion. I come from a white mother. I come from a white father, okay? Canadian American, okay? This is where we come from. My foster mother is also a white German American, okay? So there's a lot of white. I love white women saved my life, all that. Now, when it comes to like creating the next generation, if you will, when it comes to dating, I just feel, women will ask me or people will ask me, hey Josh, what's your type? What are you into? What's your flow? And I will go, hey, listen, I love all, sizes, colors, small, tall, whatever. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's just not of the fair skin. And they'll go, oh, what's up with that? And I go, well, I just don't fuck with white women. And they go, well, why is that? And I go, well, bro, I like white women, white chicken. I can't get that out of my mind, right? I can't get it out of my mind. You look at a white chicken, you see a white woman, you know what I mean? Anyway, so there's that. Just for aesthetically, everybody calm down, please. So, but more than that, on a serious level, I feel that there's like a certain level of like cultural depth that's just lost when the West is at a certain point. And when I say the white women and when I say Western women, what I really mean to say by that is like people that have grown up with a certain cultural prerogative. We're in this grander time right now where women in the West are becoming super masculine. Men in the West are becoming super feminine.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I tend to date outside of those dating pools. And it could be Latina, it could be Morena, it could be Arabian, it could be whatever, it could be anything. But for me, I want to step into a relationship. As a single man, I want to step into a relationship that is, I can be on my masculine, she can be in her feminine, and all of her feminine expressions are cool with me. I love that. And all of my masculine expressions are cool with her. We can play our roles specifically as we're supposed to be. So listen, the white women thing, it's a joke. It's not a joke. I'm trying to get all of my boys, to the South specifically so I can start to, what I mean? I can start to get them in.
Introduce them to that colored life, huh?
The
colorful life.
Everyone's hips, they're locked up. Do you know what I mean? Their hips are locked up. So we gotta come a little bit more suavecito, That's a little bit of
I was just at the Shakira concert the other day. Her hips still she's pushing 50, you know what I mean? So you're right, the hips are kind of locked in America.
The hips are locked. And it's like that. It's that icky energy. It's like you go to a dinner. And you go to Western dinners. I don't know. I mean, guys, we're from U.S. and Canada. We go to Western dinners, and it's like there's a code. There's a code that we're all playing by. Where we kind of have this like, all right, you do your thing. This is your character. This is how you should move. This person does the dishes. Da 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 da. You should leave at this time. Da da. There's a natural flow. We've done this dance a billion times. For me, that is inauthentic. I don't want to live my life. I don't need the safety of that container. Right, and that's something that I choose in my life is I choose to walk outside of the safety of this container. I don't need those rules. I have those cultural rules for me. I could say that over regulation and all of these cultural limitations and guardrails are really just an excuse for poor leadership or to lead yourself. You know, if you can come into a situation and you're comfortable at a dinner, if you're comfortable in any social situation, you don't need all of that rigidity to keep you safe. So for me and my partner, you know, whoever she ends up being, I want someone who's able to flow in and out and be loose with the hips and really actually have a playful, loving, kind of childlike interaction with life, as opposed to staying in the pocket, staying in the box. So that's the beef on white women. Hi everybody, I'm Josh. Nice to meet y'all.
Everybody meet Josh
Biggins.
So does that mean? So I'm curious. So does that mean though, like without the rigidity, does that mean that like you'd actually prefer that a woman can actually weave, ebb and flow in and out of her masculine and feminine energy?
Totally. Pick your pockets.
Okay.
Pick your pockets. I think duality exists within all of us, and like let's just take Latinas as an example, right? There's times where a Latina sits you down and goes, "Hey, idiot, this."
Oh yeah, let's clarify something. It's like Latino women are very highly feminine, but they can be masculine too. Like
they pick their pockets.
They can get aggressive too, but it's like a beautiful aggressiveness. You know, it's like they still balance that duality incredibly well.
Totally. I think like at the men at our heart, we want to be loving and caring, right? And so we have that duality that exists within us at the same time, as much as our outward facing might be more rigid, dominant, masculine, leadership, projective, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, it's just the key point is, yeah, sure, some women are deeply in their feminine. That's beautiful. Too much is not a good thing either, right? You want that balance in there. For me, I just see there's such a cultural prerogative towards being like anti-woman in women, and I'm like, no, like I would love to date a woman. I don't want to date a man. Do you know what I mean? So why are you trying to act like a man? That's really not attractive to me.
So speaking of women, right? Didn't you recently fall in love?
Hey,
Didn't you recently fall in love? Tell us a little bit about that.
These guys are just out here on a crazy tip. That's wild. I mean, what would you like to know about that?
Tell us about the experience.
Well, you know what? Okay, so
this is called the
you were very excited when we had dinner the other night. You were very excited to tell us the story about this divinely feminine woman that you met at some spiritual gathering party, you know, and so like, you know, you called her the divine feminine, like you saw her and she just radiated to you. What in your opinion, what makes a woman divine? What makes her feminine?
Wow, you guys are gonna put me on 10 right now. Let's go into the deep end.
And she gonna see this too, probably.
I love it for sure. I see you, baby girl. I did meet a woman very recently. I met a woman very recently. A woman that is a few years older than me, and a woman that has very much done her work and gone through the cycles. And so another conversation that we had at dinner the other night was I was sharing about how when I was younger, I was overweight. And I was sharing about how now I'm not overweight and I'm now have a lot of physical ability. The reason why I bring that through in this context is that you can almost trust someone more when they were the opposite. Do you know what I mean? So like, for instance, there's a lot of right now in the US, there's a lot of former Democrats that went Republican, right? And so it's like, well, you can trust that person more because they've gone through the full spectrum. Now, if you just
right. Like they've gone through a breadth of experience.
Absolutely, they went all the way to this polarity. They found it, and then now they're on the other polarity, and now they've found wherever they've settled. So those are the people that I trust more. Yeah. So to not dodge the question, is, you know, I met this woman, and I noticed that she, through her story and understanding, you know, she was a tech consultant. She worked for big business. She was very, you know, real estate investor, very business orientated, dominated business, and has now found her feminine through a certain progression. And so when I interact with her feminine, no, she's not white. When I interact with her feminine, is so calming to my masculine.
Yeah.
And I'm able to go, oh, thank gosh, I don't have to manipulate myself out of myself because I'm naturally masculine. Okay, I can actually just exist as I am and have a beautiful polarity, right? And have a beautiful polarity in that. So
she went from a very kind of like dominantly masculine environment, and would you say she was actually like in that energy for a while?
For
and
sure.
She had to move through that? Okay.
For sure. She has a podcast. It's called
Oh, wow.
It's called The House of Ash. Go check it out. And so she's. You can see her. Polarity is like this. It's like we move away from each other and we move towards each other, and we're constantly moving in this like three-dimensional space, right? And so, and as you know, like with jujitsu, it's like jujitsu gay as hell. Right, jiu-jitsu is gay as hell,
fuck,
right? And it's
Y'all both do jujitsu, so I don't know what that says about you.
and it's like
Every day.
but it's also like the most masculine men I know train jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Right, the most sexually comfortable men I know train jiu-jitsu, and so it's this polarity where we're constantly going back and forth, and we're moving, and we're ebbing, and we're flowing, and so it's just beautiful to see someone who's so comfortable in who she is as a woman, and that's why I said, wow, this woman is she's the divine feminine in a sense, because she's just done that work and is okay in herself.
It's true.
And that is, to me, it's just like, it's a breath of fresh air. Come here, like, it's a beautiful thing.
It's true. There's definitely a very calming energy to a woman who doesn't feel like she needs to prove anything about her feminine energy.
So beautiful.
Like, it's just like she just is. She just exists. You mentioned like the Western white kind of like culture and stuff like that, and you said this to me before. You said that like I noticed that you sometimes criticize white people who are squares. What about them kind of irks you, bro? Because they kind of irk me too.
Oh man, I mean, everyone's on their own path, but there's a certain level of we navigate this life, and there's certain boundaries and constrictions that are really real. For instance, to take this just to an extreme, you're gonna die. You're going to die at some point. That's a real constraint.
Yeah.
That's a real thing. And we carry that with us every day. And then there's other things like, take it to the other extreme, jaywalking. That's just that's a little paper wall. You can just flick that over.
Yeah.
And so I think that one thing that bothers me, and that when I interact with people that are quote unquote normal, is that they just exist within a bunch of lines that I can so clearly see are not there. I'm like, hey, why don't you take a step out of that? How can I invite you out of that? And they go, no, I'm safe here.
Yeah.
No, I can't travel. No, I can't have different types of relationships. No, I can't speak my mind. No, I can't have different opinions. And that the emotion that it actually invokes in me is I go, oh my gosh, look at how monolithic we're becoming, right? Everyone thinking in the same patterns. And I know when I observe nature, that is not what nature does. Nature is diverse naturally. So you have an opinion, I have an opinion, you have an opinion. That's a beautiful mix and concoction of stuff. And it's like that makes the collective better. But when we are all moving in one direction with one thought and moving with one cultural constraint, we become extremely vulnerable.
Why do you think that is, particularly in Western culture?
That's a really, really good question. For some, and my answer would be that let's get controversial. Let's get controversial. So the DEI movement, right? And I work in ethical investing. I work in socially responsible. I work in that realm, and I'm very much not in alignment with the DEI movement, right?
What is the DEI movement?
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Oh.
So just saying, hey, let's get everybody in. Now, I'm pro-diversity, I'm pro-equity, and I'm pro-inclusion,
Right.
right? And so to your point around well, why is that in the Western culture, is because we have taken responsibility out of ourselves and gone, no, the space that we occupy is responsible for my emotional safety or for my physical safety. And my belief, I do not believe that. I believe that you are responsible for your emotional safety. You are responsible for your physical safety. Granted, don't put yourself in a war zone, right? Be reasonable, and we want peace and we want structure, absolutely. But at the end of the day, the buck stops with you. So what we've done, the principle behind all of this is that, and with this movement, we've gone and externalized the responsibility.
They outsource their level of
We've outsourced our values.
internal, values. Yep.
Insource your values.
Yeah.
Right? I shouldn't have to look like. It's like this. Sadhguru says this. No one had to tell me, don't cut off my pinky. Why is that? Because it's my fucking pinky. Do you know what I mean? So no one had to tell me, don't hurt my pinky. right? But we have this thing where we start to see, wow, there's so much difference between a man and a woman. There's so much difference between a brown person, an Asian person, a white person, and we have to then artificially come in and say, no, 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 don't hurt those people. Don't divide those people. Don't exclude those people. And it's like, if I just fundamentally understood that there is such little difference between you and I, there's such little difference, I wouldn't be discriminatory. I wouldn't be hurtful. I wouldn't be malicious with my words, because you are me and hurting you is hurting me. I would never do that. And so I think that because we have externalized responsibility on such a deep level, that that it's led to this, anything that's even a tiny bit out of my sense of safety or comfort, outside of the code, outside of the rhythm, outside of the play, the literal play that we're all playing out, I become uncomfortable. And so I believe that you should cultivate that sense of safety, cultivate that sense of love internally, and then bring it external, as opposed to enforcing it externally, and then trying to cultivate it internally. This whole like external to internal thing, internal to external thing is a huge concept, and I think that's just one of the ways I see it playing out in culture and in white women.
So basically what you're saying, is that everybody is responsible for their own emotional triggers, and your external world is a direct reflection of your internal world.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely. And I think that we should move internal to external in creating, right? So it's like, you want to change the world, change yourself. And when you put it that way, you go, duh.
The world's your mirror.
The world's your mirror, right? Like, how do we, actually a question for you guys would be, if you could enforce one thing for everyone on planet Earth to do once a day, what would it be?
For me, it would be sitting in silence and going inward, and probably preferably the first thing in the morning,
Okay.
or at least have a period of time where you do that for a long period of time. Because there was a period of time where my longest streak of like morning meditation was like over 1,000 days.
Beautiful, brother.
You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
Now it's not so much like that, because I kind of just wake up and get to work now. But it's like I feel the present now because I put in that work so early. So like it's easy for me to fill in the present with hard work now, and I can just get up and like I feel present. But it was not like that before. But I think that everybody needs to do that deep inner work, like as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
You know what they say. You know what Carl Jung used to say. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Right? And so people need to go inward and see what their shadow is.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally,
to be able to integrate with that shadow and to integrate into their everyday lives.
No doubt.
To be aware, and it starts with awareness.
And I would have the exact same answer. That's what I was going to say. And the reason is because I think the answers that you're looking for, you already have. That's kind of the thing that I've realized. But the thing is, it's so easy to distract yourself today that you drown out your own voice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things.
100%.
That's one of the things with content.
Actually, I think that's one of the biggest fears people have, is just like
Being
literally
alone.
sitting by themselves with their own voices and their own thoughts. It's like this. It's the most.
But I think it
Crazy
speaks
thing.
to your point because they've outsourced it externally.
Right.
They don't have to. You
Right.
know what I mean? But that's why they're so scared when they're alone.
Right.
They have nothing else to bounce it off of. So they have to listen to themselves.
Right.
That's scary.
It's super scary. It's super scary. I was at the house last night. Last night. I had a great day, worked out, full work day, and I was like, I'm trying to get into something. And I was like, hold on. Where is that coming from? All right, Joss, where is this coming from? And I was just like, right now I'm being challenged in a lot of ways in my life. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to question myself. I don't want to sit there and self-observe. And so I just noticed that okay, let me get into something, let me go out, let me hit up the homies, blah, 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 came from avoidance behavior.
Yeah.
As opposed to, that's not to demonize any activity. Like if I'm like, oh, I'm feeling like love and light, I'm feeling playful as fuck, let's go out, let's go do some stuff. Hell yes, for sure. To your point, Nas, is like, I don't see, and this is like a working thesis of mine, I don't know if it's true, but it's feeling pretty true, is like, I don't know of anything that over any period of time, any timeline that's significant, if you add consciousness to it, awareness to it, it gets worse.
No. Yeah, no.
Like maybe over the short term, i.e., you're in the ice tub and you're like, oh my gosh, it's cold as hell, and you focus on the cold, that does make it worse. But right? But it's like over any period of time, it's like, oh, let me bring more consciousness to my body. That's why I'm not wearing shoes all the time, because I want my feet to be a sensory organ. I'm trying to make my feet a sensory organ so I can bring more consciousness to how I hold my weight, with the assumption that more consciousness is going to help my body organize better.
Yeah, but you bring up a good point though. When you do shine a light on whatever it is you're trying to do, it is going to be painful in the beginning.
It's going to be painful,
and you have to work through that.
It's going to be painful, but what are you in it for? It's like, what game are you playing? Over what timeline are you playing the game? I want to play long-term games with long-term people. That's it, period, full stop. So if it means, yes, it's 6 months, it's 3 months, it's 1 week.
Yeah.
Cool, I'm in. Jiu-jitsu, 4 years. All right.
Let's get it.
I'll take it.
So I want to quickly circle back to women, and we talked about the divine feminine.
Sure.
I just want to know, generally, over you're 29 now?
Yeah.
Over your 29 years of life, what have you learned about women that you wish men knew?
What have I learned about women that I wish men knew? Women are a mirror. Absolutely. I just want to encourage people to sit with it. Just sit with it. There's every emotion that a woman brings up in you is there to serve you and is there for you to pay attention to. You were sharing earlier about your struggles early on with women and how you overcame that. Like, that's the great blessing of your life. That's the great blessing of your life. Are you kidding?
It's funny because I actually believe that, this is my kind of deep belief, is that everything in the universe and in life can be learned through the journey of women.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like a big kind of, I don't put any one woman on a pedestal, but I do put the essence of women on a pedestal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't put any one woman on a pedestal, but I do put the essence of women on a pedestal, because if you can learn so much about the universe by just observing women and feminine energy.
No doubt. I say one of my little go-tos these days to put everything in perspective. Also a working thesis. Don't know if this is correct, but I'll put it out on the internet anyways, where it's like, I truly believe at this current moment in time with all of my being that pussy is God. Dick is power. Pussy is God. Dick is power. Now we live in, like, it's a man's world. They say that, right? Because power and status and money rules our world. But come on now. We know that this material 3D world, we know that's not the end all be all. We know there's something higher than that. Right? Any spiritual person knows that. And so it's like, in many, many ways, I have a reverence for a woman. And that's why when I met this woman, when I did, I was like, wow, you are an incarnation of God.
Bro, actually, just from the very short clip that you showed us of this fucking beautiful
Mamacita.
Suriname woman, like, homie, like,
Shout out to her.
she radiated a different type of energy. She was beauty. She was beauty.
Different.
She was beauty in a baddie form.
Beauty in a baddie form.
Right.
Oh my God! Put it on a T-shirt. Put it on a T-shirt.
Yeah,
We're trademarking that one.
Beauty on a beauty.
There's a different type of energy, that aura that a woman radiates when she's tapped in and integrated those kind of two energies together.
No doubt. And so to your question earlier is like, what would you tell men? Is like, you have to understand that every time you go and are unconscious with women or work from a place of trauma with women, you are destroying the fabric of God. You are tainting it, right? The same way that it's like littering in nature. It's like being destructive with your environment. that is what you're doing. And what your actions, because a woman is so powerful, will radiate tenfold.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, what would I want to communicate to earlier self that was interacting with women is, hey man, you need to understand and take responsibility for the effect that you are going to have on this person and every person that she interacts with for the rest of her life, because we are not going to mess around with Joe Schmo women, whatever. Like, we're going to be messing around and engaging with and having relationships and communication and connection with real women, powerful women. Their effect on the world, same as a powerful man, is exponential. And you're coding that person. A woman is coding you in her interactions with you.
100%.
You are coding a woman in your interactions with her. Just please be mindful of that. Please be mindful of that. Please be mindful of that.
Look, man, men and women have always been compatible. And it's like, for the first time in like history, it's been this weird thing that like, it's been made to be this weird thing that like we're separate. And it's like not really.
This friction, this
Now
artificial friction.
now Josh, like I could tell just by your verbiage, your vocabulary, the way you speak, man, you are I would consider a very spiritual guy.
Thank you, brother.
But what do you hate about spiritual people today?
No. So I'll riff on that, which is like this. So yeah, we're in this time of like conflict, men and women, right? And so two things could be. So this is, again, all this shit is working in my head. I don't know if it's legit, but it's like I see this as a truth is a contradiction. In order for something to be a truth, it has to be a contradiction. How do we know this? Yin and yang, dark and light.
100%.
Birth and death, men and women. And so there's this thing where we think that when the cultural prerogative right now is that there's no difference between men and women. I would say there's a ton of difference between men and women. We need to respect the differences and work in polarity. The polarity is the magnetism. We know this from every sexual experience we've ever been in. If there's no polarity, there's no friction, there's no attraction,
sex.
there's no sex, there's no chemistry, there's no nothing. Right? Friction creates heat, right? We need the polarity. So to answer your question about the spiritual people right now, we are just plummeting so quickly towards this notion of femininity. Like a lot of the spiritual guys in the popular pop culture, popular media realm, they're just hella feminine, right? Yeah. Because that's what's in vogue, and that's cool. All the pendulum knows how to do is swing. It will swing back the other way, right? And then you'll get the Andrew Tates of the world and da-da-da-da-da. So I would say it's that. And the second thing about spirituality is that if you're truly spiritual, it's an internal thing. And then people like the woman that I share with you guys is simply off of a look, an interaction, a presence, a sitting in a room, you go, oh my gosh, that person's so spiritual.
Yeah.
They don't need to verbalize or vocalize anything at all.
It's a presence.
It's a presence. That person's heart is open. That person is connected. And so the thing that I don't like so much about now is we're just taking all of this stuff that we used to put in other realms, and now we're putting it in spirituality, like L1 spirituality, which I hope everyone do it, go, absolutely, get into it. But spirituality it's not an identity.
It's not.
Please don't. It's
not
an
an ego, and people have made it into a personality.
It's not.
Yeah, no.
It's not. And if spirituality is your identity, then I don't know if that's a person I necessarily want to be interacting with, right? I have my homegirl Adrienne in Mexico, and she's just deeply spiritual woman, absolutely alchemist for sure, and she's just all silly goose energy, and you're like, wow, you get it. Someone said you can tell a master by the sound of their laughter, and it's the same thing with spirituality. It's like, you get it. As soon as you touch them, see them in the same room, that person's got it.
Yeah.
So true spirituality would say is something that's felt.
It's felt.
It's felt.
It's felt. It's not an identity.
Explained or
it's not an identity.
Yeah, and you know what? We watch this guy quite a bit. His name is Nero, and he one of the things he says is that true spirituality is deeply unserious. It's just unserious. It's just like to be unserious is actually what spirituality is.
It's gangster, dude. It's gangster for sure. It's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's so enjoyable because at the core of all this shit, what is at the core of it? What's the source code? Joy and love. And so if that's at the heart of spirituality, shouldn't you radiate that? How the hell is spirituality going to be serious? Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
You basically been digital nomading for since you were 12, right? Pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
What are some of the things that you've learned from traveling the world, or things that people might not know about that experience?
The nomad life. Nomading is beautiful. Different experiences humble you. It's incredible. Cultures. Go out, see, get outside of your box. That's another thing about white women. I'm gonna keep coming back to this. You guys started the thread. I'm gonna keep coming back to this.
Come back.
Which is like, it's this I'm gonna get blasted for this, but it's like, it's the white woman container is this is our idea of the world, and this is how the world is. It's like, love, bless your soul. That is one experience of the world, and there are a billion.
That's really interesting, because when I was in the States and before I started traveling, a lot of people in the United States think like the U.S. is the best,
right?
And they kind of, I think it's unconscious. I don't think they consciously think it, but like the other places are kind of third world or unsophisticated.
I'm not safe.
And it's kind of not the case, In some
I don't know what you thought about the U.S. is the best. America is great, but no, you're right. There's a lot more to America, and I think people who have never left America don't really see that.
And so you have to step outside your current reality, and that's what I plead of men in their relationship to women is like, step outside of your current reality, which Gary Vee would say is that empathy. Just have empathy. So like traveling has taught me humility. It's taught me empathy, and it's also taught me the value of a home. So digital nomading is in vogue. Everyone wants to go and live in pesos and earn dollars and right? Okay, I understand for sure. But you have to understand that you are stepping into, unless you're very conscious about it, a transactional world, right? When you have deep community and you live in small community, we talk about the ideal number for a community is Dunbar's number, 148 people. And so it's like, when you live in that community, you know everyone, you have a distinct and direct connection with every single person in your community. And when I think about what makes a good life, it's that's a huge part of it. So yes, I've learned a lot from digital nomading, but I've actually learned what it lacks. And so like, we come out, we know each other, we make conscious connections and stuff like that, but you need real face-to-face time in order to develop depth of relationship. And when you're nomading, that's really, really hard. It's just really, really hard.
Yeah, it's like when I was nomading, you're trying to accumulate all these experiences, but there's a lack of depth. Like you're meeting people and then they're leaving. It's just all these experiences, but they don't really mean much.
One individual experience can mean a lot, but it's just that you're being very shallow and you're not going deep. And it's just like, what's the type of life experience do you want to have? Do you want to have a spread out, broad experience? You definitely need some of that, for sure. Or do you want to have a deep experience? Like, well, I want a mezcla. I want a mix of that. I want to be able to go wide as well, and I want to be very intentional with who I know and how I know them and how I communicate, and go super, super deep in that. And that's why I'm back in Medellin, kicking it with you guys or whatever it is. I make intentional choices with that. That's why whatever city I go to, I'm going right to the jiu-jitsu gym. I'm hitting you up. I'm going, yo, who's the guy? So I can go and start to penetrate more deep, which, by the way, is a part of my masculinity. Right? That's the same shit, right? Femininity can be very deep and very vast, but it's also pop, 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 right?
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. It's like a butterfly dipped in acid.
And the more masculine thing is going in and going, okay, well, let me get to mastery. Let me know new levels of what do we all want in women. We want to know new levels of depth in a woman.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to because it seems like you're not super constrained or limited by societal kind of boxes. And I wanted to actually get your take on this because, like, a lot of people are religious in this world.
Sure.
Do you believe in religion, and what about it resonates or doesn't resonate with you?
I mean, for sure, believe in something outside of yourself. That's just as a basis. Believe in a higher power, whatever it is. And if you don't have an experience of that, and that doesn't resonate with you, I would just say listen to music. Right? What does music do? Music takes you outside of yourself. Go to a concert, go into a cold plunge, go into a sauna, be in community, be in nature. Those are all holy experiences. They're all holy experiences. religion, specifically, I don't believe in, Christian, Catholic, whatever, the same way that I don't believe in Republican, Democrat. And the reason why I don't believe in that is because it comes with a prepackaged set of beliefs. If I come out and I say, I'm a Democrat, you already know my opinion on everything, right? If I come out and say, I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, whatever, you already know all of my beliefs, and it comes prepackaged.
Yeah.
And that, there's nothing wrong with that, because those things have existed for a long time, and low-key, pretty decent framework for living. Like, pretty decent. Like, our world, the Western world, is built on top of Christianity. And so who am I to say that it's wrong? Like, my goodness, like, look at us. Look at the abundance that we have.
Yep.
Holy, that's built on top of Christian values. I'm not a Christian myself, but I can say it's built on top of Christian values. I don't believe in religion specifically because I make a distinction between people that are believers and people that are seekers. A believer to me is someone that actually goes outside of themselves for answers. A believer has a place of worship, right? Church, for instance. A believer, in my mind, is someone that thinks God is somewhere outside of themselves, the sky, or whatever. And believers, like, this could also be like Greek mythology. They believed in a God that was on Mount Olympus, external. That's a believer. They move external to internal, external to internal. That's why our world is built on Christian values, rules and regulations, external to internal. 10 Commandments. Here are the things. Read them, memorize them, understand what they are, and then apply them to yourself. I personally don't believe in that, but I am saying that that's a beautiful framework for existing, because it actually brings a lot of people happiness to get through this human thing,
At the very least, there's a moral compass to what...
Which is beautiful. Like, it builds high trust societies. We need high trust societies because we know we're all working on more or less the same code. So I'm not putting that down at all. It's not for me. The reason why it's not for me is because I would say that I'm a seeker more than I'm a believer. Seekers believe that God is within you. You are God. I am God. I'm not the God. I am part of God. And so we move internal to external. Every time that I meditate, I'm worshiping. Every time that I tell the truth to myself, because I am God, I am worshiping God. I am creating a better universe in my faith, right? And so seekers don't necessarily go to a certain place of worship, but they understand any place can be my place of worship. Any person can be a seeker. Any person can be God. Any person can be spiritual. That's an Eastern philosophy. That's Taoist. That's Buddhist. And this ties back to another fundamental principle that I have in my life, which is a lot of people think that the basis of life and why we're here is enjoyment or love or whatever. I think it's education. I fundamentally believe that the purpose of life is education, is to further your knowledge, and as a result of that, further your connection. I think that life is about connection. And so I'm in pursuit of that. As a seeker, I don't ask for, I'm not out there searching for the answers. I'm out there searching for better questions. And I am so okay with just being in the process of curiosity, as opposed to finding the security of an answer, right? I just want the process of a question. So religion is beautiful because it gives us all a framework we can all agree on, and it's built a beautiful world. Granted, more people have died in the name of like the Lord or a Lord than anything else. So take that with a grain of salt. But at the same time, it's also created an incredible societal fabric, which is beautiful and I'm grateful for. It's not specifically for me, but that's how I view religion. Something
that I've heard before I've always kind of taken with me and just really, really resonated with me is that intelligence is not a measure of knowing everything. Intelligence is a measure of having a question for everything.
Having a curiosity.
Having curiosity for everything.
Right. So in that framework, we would say that kids are the smartest people out.
Oh. 100%.
Right.
Kids are kind of, in my truest belief, kids are like the closest thing to God. Like, or like they just radiate that natural presence.
Before all that rigidity,
Before we domesticate them. Before we domesticate them.
Well, let's take it way back, right? Because you have a unique way of thinking. So I want to talk about your roots and where you came from, right? You want to pause this or keep going?
Cool.
Let's talk about your roots. So you grew up on an island, a small island.
Yeah.
With only about 1,000 people living there.
That's right.
So tell us, what was life like in such a small, tight-knit community?
Teaches you about community. Teaches you about community. Not a lot of opportunity there, but teaches you about community. So I grew up on an island called Hornby Island. It's 2 ferries away from a small town, and it's 3 ferries away from the city. So we're very rural. This is
where?
This is in the Pacific Northwest of Canada.
Okay.
And so we grew up understanding that you got to be a good neighbor, you got to be self-sufficient, you got to know how to farm, and you have to live in synchronicity with nature. Because if you didn't, that shit would spit you out and eat you up. And so growing up in a very remote, rural community gave me everything, and my family is not super consolidated, is very disjointed, and so my community has always been my family, right? I spent months at different people's houses when I couldn't go back to my house, because it wasn't safe for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
And so when we talk about online community, or when we talk about community and digital nomading, like that shit hits different for me, because community is my chosen family, and so growing up in such a rural area, it gifted me the concept and the idea that really community is your chosen family. And a lot of people have beef with family because I didn't choose these people, and it's like, cool, go choose and love on your community as if they are your family. You know what I mean?
So for you growing up, it takes a village to raise a child was literal for you.
Super literal. I wouldn't have made it. I'm super grateful for my community. I love all you guys.
Gotcha. So how do you think growing up in that environment shaped your early worldview?
Yeah, so I didn't believe a damn thing. So that's the thing about white women is that they grow up in the box, right? They grow up in the box. I grew up outside the box.
Okay.
And so there's a certain, and I don't mean to hate on all the Karens out there. Again, I love you. These are my mothers. I love you. Literally, I love you so much. The clip's gonna get killed on this one, but it's all good. I'll take the bullet. I'm made of love, so I know where it's coming from.
I feel like, come on. I feel like we need the Karens in the world. If we talk about polarity, like they're the opposite polarity of everybody who's cool,
The box that everyone lives in, we try to first make it a circle, and then we try to expand the circle, right? The box, like my father used to say this, bless his soul, is there's no 90-degree corners in nature. This does not exist. Everything is this. Everything is a wave. Everything is Fibonacci. And so that's really, when I see a Latina woman, I see a Fibonacci sequence. Do you know what I'm saying?
Damn, for real? Like literally?
For real, I see it.
This dude really has stepped out of the matrix, you know what I'm saying? He sees ones and zeros.
Truly be an unfiltered soul.
But you know what's crazy is his definition of escaping the matrix is a little bit different than Andrew Tate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yo, I'm actually hella curious. How would you compare and contrast those two definitions of coming out of the matrix? I would love your takes on this.
I think that honestly, like if we're speaking at the highest level, like the highest concept, you and Andrew Tate are the same. You just have different prescriptions and worldviews of how you would explain it, but Andrew Tate is like a very, very polarizing figure, as we know, right? He just has, I kind of figured out, or kind of taken the approach of like, I'm going to be extremely hyper polarizing in this materialized world, and however people react, that's how they're going to react. I think he knows exactly what he's doing.
I'm sure he does.
I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and in a way, I think he was kind of needed for a lot of things. But at the same time, it's like everybody has their own expression of, escaping the matrix. I think that escaping the matrix truly just means, as what you said, stepping out of the boundaries that we have been limited by in civilized society. So
Word, okay, word. I would say, like, I'm not here to hate on the Tates of the world because it evokes emotion, right? It evokes emotion. And that's cool if emotion evokes action, because then action then creates information, and then that's the loop. So if you get in that loop, you're only going upwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, it's really hard to digress if you're actually seeking real information.
Meaning you're getting feedback from
You're
your actions.
actually getting feedback, right? And so that's like all of our emotions are meant to create action, right? And so now preying on someone's emotions, it's a little bit of a different thing. So with Tate, it's like, well, let's make sure that we want to create empowerment, but we don't want to create hatred, right? And so it's like, okay, what's the range of emotions we're creating, and can we create like wholesome, nutrient dense feedback systems of emotion, action, information, because we can also take that in the wrong direction as well. So whatever vector, whatever direction, whatever heading we put a person on as content creators on the internet, I think we really need to take real good care of that and say, hey, let's nudge someone or encourage someone's algorithm to put them on a certain chart, a certain path that is a productive loop of emotion, action, information.
So let me challenge that. The reason why I'll challenge that is because this is like kind of woo woo, but I think that, like, okay, love and hate are of the same, like, fundamentally the same vibration and energy. They're different frequencies, and that's why you hear kind of things like when people say there's a very, very thin line between love and hate, because when it's very, very possible that if you make somebody hate something, they can go into the energy of love very, very quickly. Does that make sense?
Okay.
A woman who loves you could very, very easily hate you, and a woman who hates you could very, very easily love you. But a woman who's very, very neutral towards say like a man, that man is very invisible to her.
Okay, so how do we transmute the love or the hate to love and the love to hate?
That's the key, is the transmutation.
How do we do that? We do that, like,
this is why I said Andrew Tate might have been a very how do I say?
I would say Andrew Tate's message does transmute that, right? Because if you listen to his message and he's talking his angry voice, telling you to get up, go do things. And he's taking that anger, that frustration that young men are feeling, and whether you want to chase material things or go in a different direction, he's channeling that into energy that can be used, energy and motion. Right. So I guess it's how you receive that energy and which direction you take it.
He has a different prescription for it. I think that it's as I said, it could go in many different directions, But it's really what it is. Is how. If I think that at the end of the day, if you can say something from a place of love, I think that's probably the best way to go about things.
Of course.
And maybe that he's not always the best at that. But there is something to be said about the polarized reaction and response to everything he says and what he does. So there is something to be said about that.
There's something that's there too, and every one of those signals gets someone to the next part on their journey. Right, and that's the important. We want progress, and even if that, and as people get confused, it's like progress is a non-linear experience, right? So you could have progress that's actually, if everything's working like this, if everything's working in a wave, the progress of the progress of a wave is the trough of the wave. So if Andrew Tate is pushing people towards their personal trough or their personal peak, either way, that is progress, right? Because it's creating emotion and creating more action and creating more information, right? And so now would I love to live in a world where someone like Ash can go, this woman that I met, can go and say, wow, look at this person radiating from love, and that love is affecting me with such potency. It's overriding the potency of someone that could affect me with the energy of fear. So that person's love versus another person's fear, and we're designed for negative emotions. So someone's love's got to be 10x or 5x
100%.
what that other person's fear is. So I would love to live in a world where we have leaders like that can step into love in that way and really communicate that in a really, really beautiful way to override the potency, so we can create from love as opposed to from fear. That being said, everything doesn't have to be all lovey-dovey, and like when it's real. Like you got like.
Look, I believe every journey is a journey from either chaos to order or
Right.
order to chaos. And you mentioned it yourself, is that a lot of Western civilization with men have become very, very hyper feminized, and women have almost become hyper masculine in the Western society. It's very possible that Andrew Tate was that necessary figure that came in to be like, to spark men to go back into that journey of masculinity, to then like rebound and come back in towards something that's a little bit more balanced.
Totally.
So that's kind of, I think, the use case of where Tate came in,
So I want to touch on this because we were talking about, your environment shaping your worldview.
Yeah.
You said you didn't believe in anything. Can you just expand on that just a little bit more?
Yeah, so a guy named Naval Ravikant has a really beautiful idea of something called, he's amazing, something called being an optimist contrarian. And so optimism, for me, is just in my blood. I'm an optimist. You can't beat the optimist out of me. You cannot. Like, it's in me, coded, hardwired. I don't know why, like, gracias a Dios. But I'm such a skeptic as well. Mm-hmm. So I don't believe a damn thing just because I've seen, maybe that's just my childhood coming through. Yeah. Honestly, it's just being like, you say you love me, I don't believe you. You know what I mean? Which could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. Or it's like, you say I can't go here, you say I can't do this thing, you say I can. Either way, you say this is good food, you say this is bad food. Our cultures, as we're domesticated from children into kids and adults, lie to us to keep us safe, right? Because they constrain the world, they make it smaller, they create lies. And that's fine. It's not done from a bad place. It's done from a place of security and protection. For me, I was always bigger than the safe space that was created for me. And so I just went, oh, no. The walls are way behind me. I'm out in the open. Mm-hmm. That's why my Substack is called Outside. It's like literally existing outside of whatever the box is, so you can get a clear perspective on it. And so you can ask questions. So you can be a skeptic. I didn't believe anything coming up. I didn't believe anything as I was growing up, simply because I stress tested and went, is that real? Can I step there? Oh no, I can't. So I just started to learn through distrust and hate and violence to really stress test and be a skeptic of every single rule, regulation, person, power, money, women. I was just skeptic. Now I have love in my heart, and I'm a person that I'm always going to be open. I'm always going to be an optimist. I'm so childlike. I'm going to trust you until you tell me not to. But I'm going to be questioning the whole way along, right? But I'm leading all those questions with love. Every time. I have a piece of content that I really, really love, and it's like, where do people's curiosity come from? Does it come from a place of, like, where does your internal curiosity come from? Does it come from a place of, ooh, I want to know more. What is that? Let me play with that. How does that work? How do these two things go together? Mm-hmm. What's going on here? Or does it come from a place of, oh, that thing might hurt me. I'm scared of that thing. What is that thing? How does it work, and how is it going to affect me? And so while I was always a skeptic, I came from a place of like, yo, I know you said that this is that thing, but like, let me go figure out what it is. Right, as opposed to like, I don't trust that. What is that? Get away from me.
Do you think that came from the contrast of growing up in a small island, right? And then,
right.
You said you were 12, and now where were you? Where'd you go to?
So I was 12 when I lived on Hornby, this small little island, and then I moved out. I moved out on my own for a little bit, and I moved to a smaller town of like 60,000 people called the Comox Valley.
But much, much bigger, right?
Yes.
So like I guess whatever was the society standards, the rules was probably much different.
Much different. They were much, much different, and I thought that the same rules applied. Mm-hmm. I thought the same rules applied within a group of 1,000 people as it did to 60,000, as it did to 6 million.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah, you told us a funny story if you want to share about, being on the basketball team and some of those rules.
Sure. So I'll tell the story in short, and it kind of leads, it opens up how my life has really alchemized in a sense. But in short, where I come from, marijuana, cannabis is very chill. I was rolling, blunts for my mom when I was a toddler, like not a toddler, but I'm talking like 8, 9, 10 years old. And so this is, we come up on Bob Marley, we come up on Jamaican vibes, we come up on Rasta vibes, you know what I mean? And so that was like, this is medicine, right? This is literal medicine. Tobacco, alcohol, other drugs, these are poisons, right? We don't want to go near those. So that was my prerogative. When I went and started to play basketball in this small town, they made me the team captain, and we actually had a tournament one time, our first tournament, coming out and going into the big city. Our first tournament, bunch of 12, 13, 14-year-old boys. We're like, wow, because these guys are from a small town too. I'm from a small place, but they're from a small spot as well.
Yeah.
We're going to the city. We're all fired up. What happens? I go, okay, I'm the leader of the team. I'm responsible for these guys. I know everyone's going to be wanting to go out 7-Eleven, get the candy, stay up all night. I go, hey, no problem. I have a solution for this. I go, Mom, I'm taking a little bit of this ganja, of this Mexican lettuce here. And she goes, okay, cool. I grab a little bag, no problem. She's like, where are you going with this? I'm like, listen, I explain my whole plan. She's like, cool, sounds good. Like, just don't get caught. It's all good. And I was like, what do you mean get caught? She's like, you're fine. Go ahead. And I was like, cool, thanks, Mom. And she sent me on my way. I got a couple blunts, easy days. I take the guys out. We're in the city. It's 7 o'clock. We go, hey, I see these guys want to go out. They want to get some candy. They want to go to the gas station, whatever it is. Now, listen, boys, let's take a walk. I'm going to get y'all high. We're going to get a couple snacks so you don't have the munchies. And then your ass is going to bed. You'll be in bed by 9 o'clock.
Jossie's going to show them the way.
Easy days, boys. Don't worry. And what happens? Boom. One thing leads to the next. We're in bed, 9 o'clock. We're up. We got a 7 o'clock game. Boom, 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 boom. Easy, except my coach finds out. One of the parents finds out, right? Someone smelled like weed. Shit. So, whatever. I face the repercussions of that. I own up to it. Coach comes in and says, hey, Joss, I heard that you were the one that brought the marijuana on the trip. These are like 13-year-old boys, right? I come from a school that was not the best school, so we had a zero tolerance for drugs. So he goes, Joss, we know this, we were told this was you. Was it you? I said, yeah, absolutely it was. I mean, look how fresh everybody is. Everyone just got like 10 hours of sleep. Like, coach, what's going on? Like, am I the best team captain or am I not the best team captain? And he goes, no, John's like, that's very illegal, right? This is like 2010 or whatever, right? Or earlier than that. And he goes, no, this is illegal. We have a zero policy for drugs here at the school. Like, you're off. You're done. You're not playing. We're gonna get to the principal on the phone immediately. And he started to explain this to me, like, hey, the way that you view the world and what is good and bad is not the societal contracts that we all play by. And that is what I did not understand. However, because I was approaching my intention matters so much, I had no malintention. I was able to not get expelled, which was the policy, right? I was able to continue on the team, take some time off, and that was my iteration to the world. And I started to question those contracts because I was like, wait a minute. Fundamentally, is this thing helpful or harmful in this situation? Well, it was helpful. It was not harmful. None of those guys smoke weed today. It's not an addictive drug. We got everyone to bed. It was a very wholesome experience, if I could say so myself, right? But then I started to question those contracts. That guy, my coach at the time, now, however many decades, years later, is now my current business partner, right? I smoke weed with him all the time.
That's crazy.
And so that was so as I go and I break these societal contracts, I start to realize more and more, okay, I have a fundamental truth. There's a contract. My fundamental truth is in contrast or in conflict with this societal contract. If this is true and if I believe this, my truth is bigger than this contract. Let me go see. And if I go and I try to break the contract, the societal contract, and it backfires on me, and someone says, hey, this wasn't okay. This wasn't of good character. This wasn't of good moral. This wasn't helpful for the community. This was not being a good citizen. Bendiciones, thank you so much. Let me reevaluate my truth, and I'm so happy to adhere to the societal contract.
So you learn to test things really early on.
Really early on.
Okay.
Great question.
Actually, interesting, because then how, you're talking about contracts and like you started to question societal contracts. Coming from such an outside perspective, such a different perspective, how did you develop your sense of identity just through all of that?
God, that shit was hard as hell. I still don't have it, man.
Man.
Yeah, it's probably the thing that I struggle with the most. Just kind of coming up to 30 now is like, and I said it to myself when I was really young. I was like, Joss, no identities or concrete beliefs until you're 30. Because like you just don't latch on to something too quick to feel safe. You're good. And that was wise, but still to this day, my sense of identity and who I am in the world and how I stand up, I'm in constant conflict with myself, and I have to just drop into myself all the time and go, no, brother, you're you, you're made of love, you're fundamentally good, you are not malicious, you are not hurtful, you're a good person. Whatever your identity is, can be this, it can be that. I'm in constant conflict with my identity. I'm a portfolio manager. I'm supposed to live and work in a suit in a cubicle on downtown Wall Street, Bay Street, Canada. My office is there. I live in a completely different environment. That's a contradiction. My clients follow me on social media. They will watch this podcast. That's terrifying. I manage millions of their dollars.
I know how you feel.
That's terrifying.
I know how you feel, man. Like I'm putting the stuff out that I put out. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know if this will hurt, or not, but it's like I know it deep down in the deepest depth of my soul. Like this is the most authentic thing to do, no matter what happens.
Be a principled man, right? That's what it's like. What are your principles?
Yeah.
For me, like transparency, honesty, vulnerability. Those are principles for me. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let's take them to the extremes. Okay, cool. Your 80-year-old veterinarian client that you manage a lot of money for is going to watch you talk about white women and mujeres in Colombia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, but wait a minute, stop. Am I in the wrong in this current situation? No. Fundamentally.
The journey of being a human being is you will always have that internal self-conflict.
No, exactly. I'm in integrity right now. I'm in integrity with who I am, and I show up in those situations, in personal situations, professional, social, family, whatever, as the same person. And those people may have a conflict with these different versions of myself, but I can tell you for a fact that I show up and I'm a damn good professional.
100%.
I'm a damn good friend. I'm a damn good family member, and I show up the same way in all those iterations. I'm in integrity in that, and I welcome anyone from any different time of my life to come in and question that and say, yo, Joss, I saw this. This doesn't line up with this other thing that you said. Is that out of integrity for you, or am I missing something? Beautiful, please.
I encourage people to question me, and man, I'm that type of dude that can be gangster real quick. You know
For
what I
sure.
mean? I'm a
For sure.
spiritual gangster. I'll be like, yo, what's good? I'll start talking reckless. And you have me on Zoom, and I'll be like, look, like this is the numbers for today. Like we are not, as human beings, an expression of just one thing. We are multidimensional. We have many things, and we have many parts to us.
Absolutely.
And I think with like the content that we put out, right, like all of us, there's that fear, right, of what are people going to think, our clients, business partners, people who are not in the space, right? But fundamentally, I think that because we're human, when you put out that authentic perspective, they can relate. Even if they don't like it, they can relate.
They can relate. They know it's inside. It resonates.
Yeah.
There's something there.
Totally.
Even if they've buried it. But that's the beauty of truth. It always resonates.
If it's truth.
Yeah, if it's
true.
Yep.
If it's truth. If it's hate, then it's not. I'm gonna just bring this back to white women real quick, if you don't mind. Actually,
Shout out to that.
shout out Karen, I love you.
We don't have a. I was gonna get a little catch of this, bro.
With with that, I think what's important in this integrity conversation and how we all show up is we are moving to the beat of our own drum. We have decided what that beat is, how it needs to show up in various situations. Okay. With certain people, they're not comfortable with you having a different rhythm, that you have claimed your own rhythm. We had a conversation over dinner, like, when did you figure out you were able to step out of the normal rhythm? And so one thing that I love about a person is an empowered person. That's that when I was talking about this woman, that's the divine feminine. She's an empowered person. She's found her own beat and she is walking to that. It is a rhythm. It is not necessarily a set of set steps. I'll make the transition. I'll make the connection. In Western culture and with Western women, we have, it's kind of like ballet. Very refined. We know the steps. It's very performative. It's very disciplined, very masculine, right? Even though you say, oh, wow, this is a feminine thing. I don't know if you guys know any ballerinas. Those guys are disciplined as hell.
Incredibly.
Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
You think that it's happening within a group setting. It's really an individual sport, right? It's actually an individual sport. And so very structured, very aged, very refined over a long period of time. That speaks to like Western femininity at this current moment, which could be beautiful, by the way. Beautiful, by the way. Very masculine. Beautiful, though. Non-whites, right? Non-whites is, I would say that the rhythm, the same way that we've connected our rhythm, we've chosen our rhythm, there's a natural rhythm that if Western women are ballerinas or are dancing that style, I would say that other parts of the world, African, Southeast Asian, Latin American, we're spending a lot of time in Latin America, so we'll address that demographic, is this, it's salsa. Salsa, or bachata, has a lead and a follow. It has a rhythm. It has a tempo, and you are free to elaborate and express as long as you're on that tempo. And that, to me, that expression is more in line with integrity than a set of steps and rules. So for me, I want to trust you outside of any rule or regulation. I want to trust you, the individual, the person, right? The same way if I hire a professional, I hire my accountant, I hire my lawyer, I hire my professional team, my realtor, I'm hiring the person. We talked about this. I'm hiring the person. I get it. You have to have the qualifications, absolutely. But I want to know that you're going to be able to flow and freestyle within this certain rhythm that we've decided on, and I can see that you're in integrity as we go into different environments and you take different identities. We're still moving to the same rhythm, and because we have this lead, follow, certain rhythm, freestyle that's going on here, I can trust you.
It's like a level of flow. It's not too rigid.
Flow. Exactly.
Gotcha. So we're going to get into a little bit about your career, but before I do that, I want to touch back on this idea of this identity and self-belief. I know something that you've talked about is that growing up, you felt like you grew up without any real advantages.
Sure.
So how did you discover your competitive edge?
God, it's been a while since I've been on a pod, guys. These are great ass questions. I didn't think you guys were going to be coming with this, but discovering my competitive advantage. Yeah, great question. So I was in competition with a bunch of rich kids athletically, and they had trainers. And they had shoes. And
talking about basketball, right?
And somehow you still became captain.
I'm talking about basketball. I'm talking about track. I'm talking about any athletic endeavor. And I was like, I'm not gonna be able to beat these guys. And like low key, I was unathletic too. Like I didn't have it like that. So I was like, okay, on what playing field can I beat you? I'm not gonna beat you just like from 100 meter sprint, like with your training and like, your nutrition, I'm not going to beat you. I'm not. And, you're an athlete, And so I went, okay, well, what is the realm? What's the game I can play? How do I change the rules of the game to find my competitive advantage? And I just went, well, I have nothing to lose. I come from nothing. I'm fine wearing that. I'm comfortable with myself because I've been battle tested so much. I just went, dude, my competitive advantage is showing up as myself. let me show up as myself. Let me speak from my feelings. Let me be honest. Let me really actively work on my character. I also looked at every other field that people try to gain competitive advantage in, and I think it's so silly. Like if you're an athlete, you go, oh, let me get another inch on my vertical, let me get another percentage on my 3-point percentage shot. Like, how about become a better teammate? How about become a more inquisitive learner? How about become a curious person? What about becoming a nice person? What about becoming chivalrous? Like, no one wants to work on their character because it's so fucking hard. You gotta look at yourself, and that's the hardest goddamn thing. It's easier to go, nah, let me add an inch on my vertical. And so it's like, yes, I understood that I have to have a certain level of performance. I wasn't gonna beat them at performance. I'm never gonna beat them at performance. I knew that I was willing to go places that they were not willing to go, so I went there. And I was lucky as shit that those places that I went, those areas around communication, presence, emotional availability, things like that, were and are the things that actually matter, right? Like I have people that come and that are trying to intern for me or work for me. Listen, I'm gonna lose on a new employee for sure, financially, because I gotta teach you everything and you think your degree is something and it's not, and I gotta detangle that belief and all this type of stuff. And then I go, the only reason why I would ever hire someone is if they had the competitive advantage of, dude, I enjoy you, you have depth, you're curious, you're for jokes. Like, I enjoy my time being around you, you elevate my mood and my human experience. Cool, I'm in. If I have to do an hour session with you teaching you something that I've done a billion times, after that hour, I'm gonna be more energized for the next meeting that actually matters. So that's how I built the competitive advantage, was just like, yo, I'm not gonna win in that realm, I'm not gonna win in that realm, I'm not gonna win in that realm, I'm not gonna win in that realm. Where's the fucking realm I can win at that no one else wants to do? It's that. Also, I knew I wasn't even gonna win in the effort realm, and I tried that for a long, long time. Dude, I'm no Goggins, bro. Like, listen, I'll work my ass off, and I've hung my hat on that for a long, long time. I don't anymore because I know I can be in the top like 10% or 5%. I'm not going to be in the top 1%. And so it's like, but I know I'm willing to have a billion hard conversations. I know I'm willing to open my heart. I know I'm willing to do what is asked of me as a citizen and as a man. And I know that the world at scale is not.
So let me ask you, because you said, like, looking around, everyone else had the resources, you know, the trainers, everything else. So you could have very well gone the opposite direction and been discouraged and been like, you know what, I'm just going to give up. So what gave you that hunger, that inner fire? How'd you tap into that to push beyond your circumstances?
Because I'm so drastic. I'm such a drastic person. And so for me...
He's got that dog in him. That dog is
I mean, I'm definitely naturally very, very competitive. But I'm drastic as fuck in that. And I just had someone text me this the other day. It's like, this is really, really hard. This thing that we're doing is really, really hard. But this is the version of myself. And I've been really intentional and been like, yo, I'm going here. I'm getting this job. I'm going to be in this relationship with this person. I'm living in the city, whatever it is. I'm going here. And I've decided that this is the best and highest version of myself. Okay. Fact. Other fact. Am I willing to die, be on my deathbed, knowing and having regrets that I didn't do everything to get there? No, I'm not willing to do that. Joss, I'm not willing to do that. That is not the vision of my life. So then we separate the world, and it's either like win at the thing or get the thing or move in the direction or become the person, or actual death. Right? It's like and I know that no one else is willing to actually go that far. So this is like, okay, I'm in an athletic pursuit, I'm working super hard, I'm trying to better myself for a woman or whatever it is, I'm trying to better myself for a job, I'm trying to take my SATs, whatever. So you can make that very drastic. I'm going this direction, or I have no future. And in my case, I did not have a future. So it was like that. You could take it there, or you could take it. Another thing I said about truths, like I said, that truths exist in polarities, they're contradictions. I think that truths are also exist on different levels, meaning they could be fractionalized. So like we talk about the Fibonacci sequence or whatever. That's like a shell, it's a leaf, it's a bunch of stuff. Same thing, like I'm sure a bunch of traders watch this and like follow you guys. It's like everyone knows that like a pattern on a daily chart, hour chart, exists on a 1 minute chart, right? That's because patterns on charts mirror patterns in nature. That's called the
100%. The universe is fractal.
The universe is fractal. Thank you. The Elliott wave theory in trading. So if my truth is true, I should be able to port it over to something else and it should still apply. So like yes, it could be this big goal in life, or make money, or I'm going to be homeless on the street, whatever. It could be that. Or it could be something as simple as, no, like, I told this person I would do this thing. And if I don't do that thing, I lose my character. I'm not trustable, which to me is equivalent to death. Because that's where all my confidence comes in. Is I believe in me. I believe in my character. I look at myself in the mirror. I go, that guy's dope, right? And so it's not just, hey, yo, guys, I know I said I was gonna get you these deliverables by today. Like, it's gonna be Monday or Tuesday or whatever. It's like, no, dude, I'm stepping out of alignment with my word and my character, and literally that's all I fucking have. I don't have my money. That's not something I have. I don't even own that. Relationships can come and go. The world can it's not mine. The only thing that I have is me. And so it's like, to degrade me is equivalent to death. Now that's drastic as fuck, and I want people to have, a certain level of softness with themselves, but that is how it works in my mind, right?
And that's interesting because you are highly confident in who you are today, but you've also mentioned to us that your upbringing actually made it hard for you to believe in yourself. And you also said that recently changed, that started to shift even like as of like what, a year or 2 years ago?
For sure.
What sparked that change, and what was that journey like? Why did that happen?
Destruction, obviously. In order for you to transcend, part of you's got to die. So, in whatever change you're trying to create, you got to identify the part of you that's got to die.
It's a metamorphosis.
And so I was in a relationship for many years. She broke my heart. She cheated. And so I went into a very, very deep hole. And then I emerged out of that hole and just was like, I have nothing to lose. Let me just try. And similar to when I was a kid, let me just try, because I'm at bottom. So let me try. And that's when I started to be able to approach women. That's when I started to put out big proposals in business. That's when I started to ask for speaking fees. That's when I started to do all these types of things, take on coaching clients, because I was just like, I have nothing to lose. And then I believe in myself. I have nothing to lose. I know I'm made of love. So let me just see what the universe reflects back to me, right? Universe is a mirror. Women is a mirror. And women specifically, like I said, women given me so much in my life, is that they started to reflect back to me what they saw. What they saw was not what I saw. And I was like, who the fuck are you talking about? Because, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Ain't no way we're talking about the same guy, right? Yeah. And then that's because I created something internally first. And then when you do that, then the external will just change and change and change until you're forced to look at whatever your reality is. You have something internal, you'll manifest it external 1 billion times over, and then you're going to be forced to look at that thing. And that could be to the worst, that a downside, addiction as an example, or it could be to the upside. A beautiful woman saying, oh my gosh, you're what a man's supposed to be, or you're beautiful, or you're attractive. I go, who the fuck are you talking about? Do you know what I mean? And so that's how that really, really started to change. Yeah. And I realized that the ticket to that shit, and the ticket to the longevity of that shit is just feeling your feelings, being honest about them, and taking actions from them. If you believe you're fundamentally bad, you'll never do that. So you have to get over the belief that you're fundamentally evil. I thought I was fundamentally evil for like most of my life.
That's crazy to believe that you're fundamentally evil.
No, for sure. Wow,
that's that was for most of your life?
Yeah, I would say up until probably 2-3 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's deep, man. And to then go the opposite polarity of that.
I'm a logical dude, right? I see people that create a lot of harm in the world, and I know that they come from really, if you're hit when you grow up, you're gonna hit your kids. That's the cycle. And so I just looked at a bunch of the cycles, and I was like, well, that's like where I came from.
So you internalize that.
So probably my shit's not pure. And I live deep in that. And I demonize, just to bring it back, I demonize sexuality for that. For that exact reason. I was like, my sexuality comes from evil. Because my culture taught me that. My fucking culture taught me that.
That's interesting because religion usually teaches that sexuality.
Yeah, that's correct. But now, as a white man, the world looked at me and said, "Bro, you're the problem. You're the problem, right?" And so I went, "Oh fuck, I am like, oh you like men are raping women. They're disrespectful of women. And like, look at all these white guys shooting up schools." Da, 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 da. And I was like, "That is me.
Yeah,
my bad."
that's actually really interesting because I didn't think white males really experience that. I know like with like Asian cultures, we're definitely like taught like to suppress our sexuality.
I think with Asians, it's more shame.
It's more shame, yeah.
More shame.
Shame, yeah.
It's more shame. Like with all due respect, like shame is a deeper, is a more potent poison. I think.
Yeah.
It's actually the lowest, like deepest level of. It's the lowest of low frequencies, man.
It is super low. So if you're feeling shameful, you got to get out. I feel like I felt cultural guilt, and then I also knew what I came from, and so I went, well, the culture's telling me this, and I definitely come from this, and I have this really strong sexuality in me, so I'm for sure
You got
a
that
monster.
dog in you.
Oh, so I got that dog in me.
D-O-double-G.
I had that dog domesticated for too long. I had to escape the cage. Yeah, same way.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so so I had to get through. I actually went through a psychedelic experience, a 5-MeO DMT experience that really killed me and came back to life. And what I saw in that death was, oh my gosh, you're not evil.
We gonna get into that too in a bit, yeah.
For sure. I wanted to talk a little bit about your career in wealth management, right?
Yes.
And really, I want to talk about it because it's a field where you typically see seasoned professionals.
Correct.
And I think you said you were 21.
I was 21 when I got registered. That's right.
So, how did you build? You're managing people's wealth, right?
That's right.
So, how did you build that credibility and trust with people's money?
Oof. How did I?
As a 21-year-old,
Totally.
fresh face in the business.
Fresh face. I mean, I could always grow a beard, so gracias a Dios for that. But the moral of the story of this is delusional self-belief. For sure, you got to believe in yourself, or anyone who believes in you. When I was like 19, I watched the first episode of Suits. And I was like,
Which I've been on, like, reason like, Suits is a good show.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
It's a good show, and that's how I developed my love for Meghan Markle. I was like, Shorty's bad.
Meghan Markle's the redhead?
No, that's Donna, brother.
Oh, yeah,
no,
yeah.
Meghan Markle is I forget Mike's girlfriend or whatever, or wife.
Oh, you talking about okay. You
What
say
is her-
Meghan Markle? Like,
No.
Watch the show.
No,
Watch it.
Rachel.
Rachel, yeah.
Rachel. Bad.
She a baddie.
She's a baddie. She handled her business too. Anyways, so in that show, in Suits,
She did cheat though.
Did she cheat? I didn't know. Oh, no, you're messing with my life, bro. Shit. Anyways, so in Suits, this guy Mike, he has no qualifications, and he goes and gets this job at this law firm, like prestigious law firm, and he didn't pass the bar, so it was like literally illegal for him to be there. And I identified with that because I went to high school. I went to Denmark to play basketball at a university. I came back to business school, and then I dropped out. So I had no degree. And most guys in my position have like MBAs. Like they're like very, very well educated, very well connected, and they're just like they're already in the mix when they go into the career. We don't even have rookies in my career anyways. And so I was just like, wait a minute, if anyone finds out that like, and granted, I did the private education, did the private courses, got the licensing, the certification, and all this type of stuff, like fully legal, fully legit, but I just didn't have the normal backing of school or like golf club, tennis club, Vancouver club. Like I didn't have any of those societal structures, nor the education. And I came from, like I was adopted, like I came from a weird place. So I always thought, okay, I'm either going to get found out later. I know I'm going to win. I'm either going to get found out later. People are going to know who I really am. This little boy from Hornby, this 21-year-old child from Hornby. When I'm 30, and 10 years into this and super successful, or right now. So it's like, listen, I'm either going to lose it all then, or I'm going to lose it all now. I ain't got nothing to lose.
Okay.
So let's put it up. And so I was myself, and I had blind faith and delusion and self-confidence in who I was. That was one thing. But what I learned very early on, for anyone who's a young professional really trying to make it in any career, I'll tell this through a story of a stock. And what is, we as asset managers, we're constantly trying to figure out what is the value of something, right? Jay-Z says, like, you should know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. And so it's like, we're trying to figure out what the value of something is. One working theory on this is that the value of a company is the business operations of today times a story about the future. And so depending on your school of thought, if you went to the Austrian School of Economics, whatever it may be, you will think, well, no, economics are just economics. The cost or the price of a company is the discounted cash flows of it, whatever it's producing in terms of cash and profit. If you're a behavioral psychologist or behavioral economist, you're going to believe that there's a human side to this. I happen to believe there's a human side to this. There's a human side to everything. I believe in polarity, masculine, feminine, that exists in markets as well. So I started to overweight and start to go, wait a minute. If I'm supposed to gain credibility, i.e. increase my value the same way a stock does, I need to tell a certain story. The same way that Tesla, for so many years, was telling a certain story that made the multiples and the valuation skyrocket far past what any logical or rational investor would have actually seen it as worth. Granted, that narrative is now flipped completely, and so it is now, the story of Elon Musk is the story of Tesla, which will affect the stock price. The story right now is far more powerful than what's actually happening from a business operations standpoint. The reason why I share this is similarly for me and anyone building any professional type of credibility and any white collar job, you simply have to tell the right story and make sure you do in fact have value. Your value cannot be zero, right? It can't even be 1. It has to be 2 or 3, just assigning random numbers to this. So you can times that 2 or 3 times an incredible story about yourself. And that story times your actual value creates what the market will price you at. And so I figured that out really, really early. And because I low-key had very low value, I had to create a damn good story. And that's why I got this honey dick mouth on me to this day, you know what I'm saying?
That silver tongue devil.
Silver tongue devil, that chamuchero, you know?
So that's a really good point because, you know, you highlighted over dinner that, like, the importance of soft skills and emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
How did that play a role, you know, with developing those relationships with your clients?
Yeah, brother. Like, I think everyone's so worried about AI right now. I still think everything's going to be human to human. How good are you human to human? Can you sit down like this and have this conversation? How do we make each other feel? So emotional intelligence, reading the room, for me, is everything. People are going to forget what you did for them. They will remember how you made them feel. This is an eternal
100%,
principle.
100%.
This is an eternal principle. In my work, you know, listen, I have to earn a return. If I don't earn the return, I'm fired. So it's that, for sure. Cover your bases, be in the top, whatever, 20%. But then it's all emotional intelligence. When I start working with clients, it's 80% financial, 20% personal. I work with clients, I've had clients now for almost a decade. And those clients, when we have conversations now, it's 10% finance, 90% personal. Because they value more how I make them feel rather than, listen, I made you X amount of dollars. They go, yeah, cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, so I'm going through this thing with my wife. Anyway, so we're spending this right now. Here's my budget, and I just feel so out of line with my values. How do I figure this out? Okay, cool. Let's break it down. What's making you spend that? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So the emotional intelligence part for me was absolutely everything in professional development, but also in personal development. It's a long story, but in short, there was a lot of violence in my house. And so I had to figure out when the violence was going to start so I could get out of there. And so in that, you start to pick up on little tiny cues. right? How are someone's eyebrows? What's their body language? What's their tonality? And because of that, I became very in tune emotionally to what someone's state was, to what their next move is going to be, which actually built a manipulator in me, right? Because then I started.
It's very easy to become a manipulator.
So I became a manipulator before I became a caretaker. Right now, I'm more of a caretaker than a manipulator.
Now, I will say women are incredibly attuned to that kind of stuff,
Incredible.
which is why it's so easy for a woman to manipulate as well. It's a power that they can easily abuse, right? But it's also a power that they can easily use for
good.
For good.
They can be a manipulator or they can be a
100%.
caretaker. Hey, I noticed this thing coming up in you. What's going on with that? How do we talk about that? How can I support you in that? Or maybe that's not even a conversation. Those are just actions that are exchanged, which is even better. Because men, a lot of time when we get to the conversation, we go, no, I'm good. So if they can be that emotionally intelligent, work through that, or they can go and to make you feel more loved and have a deeper connection with you, beautiful. Or they can go straight manipulation, right? Which, I do. It's my belief that like we are manipulators first before we become caretakers.
You kind of have to learn how to manipulate.
You got to learn how to manipulate.
You know what? There was a study of some kids where they did like a study between little boy kids and little girl kids, and there was like a toy or a piece of candy or something in the middle, and they wanted to run an experiment on the little boy kids and the little girl kids. And typically it was just something that was of desire for these kids, right, to go reach out to, and they basically experimented on these kids to see that the little boys would almost always go directly to the thing,
right,
and go grab it,
right,
while the little girls would want that piece of candy or toy or whatever as well, but first they would look back at their parents' faces to see the expression on their faces before they went to go do that thing. Okay? And what that what that kind of just basically told everyone was that girls, women, and they have always studied faces, and which is why they're so attuned to that thing. And so like that's an incredible thing that women are naturally more emotionally intelligent.
Right.
Now, just to touch on the AI stuff, a lot of people are freaking out about the AI stuff, and I completely agree with you. It really now becomes a question of emotional intelligence because what I truly believe AI is going to do is it now is going to allow for people who have the emotional intelligence and the creativity in them to really just focus on the ideation and the creative stuff, while AI handles all the stuff that takes up a bunch of time. So it can either be your worst nightmare or it could be the best thing ever. And I think that's where the duality comes from, right? So it really, just a really important point that you made there. Really important.
In the artificial intelligence thing is this everyone's so afraid that productivity is just going to get commoditized. Like anything I can create is now created better, quicker, cheaper by an AI agent, which is just so incredibly true. And so, yeah, productivity is going to become commoditized. It's absolutely true. So all you will have left is you.
Yeah.
Which is all you ever needed, dummy.
Yeah.
Right. Your value as a human was not based upon your ability to write code. Your value as a human was defined and based upon your work on yourself and who you are, and the love and the joy and the personality and the gift you bring to the world, which is not solely expressed through work. Silly.
Yeah.
AI don't got soul.
AI don't got no soul, bro.
Yeah. Ain't got no soul.
Now, now listen, I'm going to be real straight and honest with you. Will AI and sex robots replace white women? They will.
Probably. Yeah, but they especially white women. Western white women are fucked, man.
They will never replace Latinos.
Jokes.
They cannot. There's no way AI can replace a Latino. There's no way. It's impossible.
It's impossible.
It's absolutely possible. But I'm curious, man, because you work with a lot of wealthy clients. What have you learned from working with wealthy clients? And are there certain traits or habits you've noticed in the most successful people you work with?
Absolutely. That was why I got into the field. I was like, oh, money rules the world, business rules the world. I know nothing about that. How do I get close to people that know something about that? Oh, Well, let me go advise them on this one little aspect of money, which they have no idea about, which is investing. Everyone's scared of that. A lot of people really know how to make money. A lot of people know how to make money. Managing money is a completely different thing. For some reason, I was like, let me just provide this small skill to get in with them, get close, get buddy, and then I can just observe and absorb everything that they got. So that was my like that little backdoor in to wealth. And what I've learned from these people, first off, the fuck is wealth? Like, what is wealth? And also, what is poverty? I am completely convinced that poverty is absolutely a mindset. I know wealthy people with no money. I know many impoverished people with 7 and 8 figures in their bank account. So, again, internal to external. I'm gonna just keep bringing it up, right? So I learned so much that poverty is a mindset that can be eradicated, or it can be amplified simply by the resources that you have. Whoever you are will be amplified by how you allocate your resources and how you show up in the world. So what I mean by that is, if you're fundamentally not the greatest, money will just make you worse. More time will just make you worse. More energy will just make you worse. More attention will just make you worse. And so I realized that number one, winning the game, the money game, is not hard. We think it's hard. It's not hard. and that makes no sense to people that haven't won the game yet. And I'm not saying I've won the game. It makes all the sense in the world to people that have had some success. They go, wait a minute, no, I just put this thing over here.
You know what? The more I level up my money, the more I'm just starting to get it. Yeah. Like, money is spiritual.
Money's spiritual.
And money is the most neutral kind of energy is out there. It just amplifies exactly who you are.
Preach.
Yeah,
Preach.
It just amplifies.
Money's neutral as shit. People say money is bad. Capitalism is bad. Capitalism is neutral. It's an organizational system for resources. It's the best system we've ever had. Yep. Money itself is fundamentally energy. You place the meaning. That's been a huge lesson in my life. I get to choose. I am a sovereign person. I get to choose what the meaning of something is. I get to understand, is this thing good or is this thing bad? Let me choose. Is money helpful? Is it hurtful? Let me choose. And I get to rewire those narratives in these people that have a lot of money, but might not be specifically wealthy. To work with me is $500,000, but that's not really what it is. I need you to be wealthy to work with me. If you're impoverished, I will not work with you. I don't care how much money you have.
It has nothing to do with your bank account.
And it does not have anything to do with your bank account. And so that is why we don't throw that number out, because I have clients with $100,000 that are wealthy as hell, way more wealthy than people that have 10 million. And so that's something that I've learned, and I've been able to readjust my own personal behavior in order to really absorb and metamorphosize those learnings.
That's interesting, because they say that the language of money was intentionally made to be super complicated to confuse the mass of people, and that's why more people are impoverished than anything. But I want to get into your career as a fiduciary.
A fiduciary.
I know that word.
As a fiduciary.
I know that word. You need a cup of tea right now, I think, brother. Fiduciary. And actually, I'd love for you to explain what the hell a fiduciary is, and then also, what are the top 3 most practical and immediately actionable tips you can give to an average Joe investor?
Beautiful. I love it. So first off, a fiduciary is beautiful. Being a fiduciary is essentially a legal obligation and a responsibility that we have as a licensed portfolio manager. Is the same responsibility that doctors have, that lawyers have, et cetera, which means we did not simply prescribe something because it would work. Rather than that, we walked in and we said, hey, we've assessed everything. We know the market. We know all the products. We know the legal code. We deeply know your situation, and I'm going to sign off and say this was the best thing for you, given everything I knew about you and the market at large. That makes you a fiduciary. That's the highest standard of care that a professional can have. That's super important because professionals such as myself, or doctors or lawyers, I mean, you're working with a doctor, you're working with your health. You cannot have backwards incentive structures or doctors that do not know what they're doing, because it is your health, it is life and death, right? Similarly, legal, it is freedom or incarceration. Please don't go around, right? With money, it's, hey, I'm managing your entire retirement portfolio, or screw retirement, portfolio you living off of right now. If I do something irresponsible, it has a massive effect on your life, and I can go to jail for that if I do something irresponsible. So it's an extremely high level of care. So that's what a fiduciary is.
Sounds like there's a lot of accountability there.
A lot of accountability.
Okay.
Bless my compliance department, I see. And the 3 actionables for anyone investing. Guys, please understand, first and foremost, don't even think about investing unless you got your cash flow right and your debt right.
That's so, like, I feel like that is such an important thing. I didn't realize that for a long time, man.
Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, don't even worry about it till that shit is really right.
I learned that the hard way.
Of
I
course.
started investing in real estate before I had any real money.
And let me tell you why that is. So that's a fact. Let me tell you why that is. That is simply because how you lose the game of investing is you quit it, or you're forced to quit it. Either you quit it or you're forced to quit it, which means bankruptcy or you just couldn't handle it. So let's get you to a place where emotionally and financially you're durable. That usually means no high interest debt, or no debt that's not used to buy an asset. That's confusing. We'll talk about that later. No bad debt, usually an emergency fund, or direct access to money at a very cheap rate should you need it, so you can stay invested if shit hits the fan. And then understanding and having on a monthly basis more money coming in than you have going out. If you have those 3 things, you can start to think about investing.
You know what that reminds me of, and this is like, I'm sure you'll relate to this. Like, there's a lot of friends I have who like invest in crypto, right? You know, the next day the price drops and they freak out, and then they just sell, and then they're at a loss. Where if they just held on for a couple months, it would have been a very different scenario.
And so, what are they lacking then in that sense? Out of those 3, is it the emotionality? Is it the financial bankruptcy? Or is it not understanding their cash flow? Like, there's something in there they're missing, right? Obviously, it's the emotionality. We have to understand about money that money actually doesn't mean anything about us. There's essentially three things that we really need to think about that everyone just needs to understand. First off, most people are just not set up to invest. Investing is flashy. Most times in life, the flashiest thing that appeals most to your hedonic human systems is not the thing you should go after. In financial terms, that's the maximum rate of return over a short time period. Why is that? Rate of return and risk are correlated. The higher the return, the higher the risk you had to take to get it. If you can even, let's just put it like this, if you can earn 10 units of return, 10% return, while taking a 9% or units of risk, so a 1 unit difference, you're a world-class asset manager investor. So risk and return are deeply correlated. The reason why you don't want to go out and just shoot for the top return is because it's going to take you to the top risk, and 99 times out of 100, you can't handle the top percentile of risk. How do you lose the game of investing before you even get started? Is by getting kicked out of the game, right? Because you took too much risk and you lost too much way too soon. Tip number 1 is understand you have to have low levels of debt or no debt, probably an emergency fund, and just fundamentally have more money coming in than going out. That's first tip. Tip number 2 is understanding going out and trying to get the maximum return is likely going to get you kicked out of the game. How do you win investing? You win it by staying in the game for the longest amount of time possible. Compound interest. If you don't know what it is, go Google it. Very simply, you want to put yourself in a position where you're not going 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That's called an hourly wage. We don't want to do that. You want to go 1 times 2 times 3 times 4 times 5. Exponential, right? When you stay invested, you can have your curve, your return go exponential if you just stay in the game. So rather than going out and trying to earn 15% right off the bat, go and try to earn 8. Try to earn 7. If you earn 7 or 8, it will come with far less risk, and you'll be able to stay in the game for a very, very much different timeline than you would if you were going out and trying to get 15% return or double your money or whatever it is. There's speculating and gambling, and then there's investing. What you probably want to do, what you probably think that you want to do is speculate and gamble. What you are thinking and what you're verbalizing is, I want to invest. Understand those two things are different. So understand your setup, your foundations. Don't go for the highest return. Go for durability over time. How can I stay invested for as long as possible? The third, split into 2 parts. There's 2 free lunches in investing. Number 1 is diversification, just meaning don't just own one thing. Own many things. That will reduce your risk while not reducing your return. That's one of the only 2 free lunches in investing. The second free lunch in investing is something called dollar cost averaging, which just means buying into whatever asset that you're buying into consistently, repeatedly, automatically, without any decision on your part. That could look like $100 a month, $1,000 a month, going from your bank account to your investment account, getting automatically invested. So just to recap, financial foundations, no or low debt, have an emergency fund, be making more than you're spending. Number 2, don't go for the maximum return, play the game for the longest amount of time, be durable. Number 3, diversify and dollar cost average. Those would be my 3 tips for any everyday casual Joe investor.
You know what I've heard before about investing? They say don't be a civilian.
Don't be a civilian.
Don't be a civilian.
What does that mean?
What does
Meaning
that mean?
like civilians tend to all, like the masses all kind of tend to react emotionally to things, right? And that's kind of like the idea behind don't be a civilian is like you need to take the emotion out of of the investing part of things. And then I think when we talk about diversifying, I think that's something I learned from Ray Dalio, which is like having an all-weather portfolio.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, that's incredible stuff, man.
But
Such excellent stuff.
Let me just take you to another side of that and really kind of break some mental frameworks here. Diversification is how you increase durability and you conserve wealth. Diversification is about conservation. Consolidation is how you build wealth.
Okay.
You know this as a real estate investor. You poured your money into, at the start, one asset, one apartment, one house. From an investing standpoint, that is stupid as fuck. All your risk is dependent, all your return is dependent on one freaking thing. That's not diversified at all. It's consolidated.
Right.
But it comes with higher upside, especially when it's a mortgage. You're putting 20% down, 200K down. You're now earning on $1 million. So you're leveraged up and you're highly consolidated. That's why most millionaires are made through real estate.
Yep.
So diversification is how you conserve wealth and maximize your durability, which is good for the long term and certainly good if you already have wealth. That's why we adhere to that principle all the time. But if you want to actually build wealth and transcend economic levels, the social hierarchy as it pertains to money, you should actually consolidate your bets, put it all in on one thing, one house, one apartment, one business, one coin, not financial advice, right? Or whatever it is, one thing, one stock. And the result of that will be you're broke and you lost everything, or you 5x'd, you doubled, you 10x'd, you 100x'd, whatever it is. That's what entrepreneurs do. They go all in on one thing. It's not a consolidated bet. Alex Hormozy, whatever, we say, yo, what, you run 8 businesses?
Yeah.
Stop it. Run one. Go all in at one. Why do we run 8? Number 1, we feel cooler. Number 2, it's diversified. We feel safer. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Be less cool, feel less safe, go in, that's where the real returns are. And that is both logically with money and it's also emotionally in relationships. You want to really test yourself in a relationship? Go all in on one. Go deep, consolidate. And that's where the 100x is. Or you're heartbroken.
Interesting.
Right?
Very, very interesting.
So all these things are connected.
You also mentioned that there's a masculine and feminine in investing itself. So tell us a little bit more about that.
If something is a truth, it exists in all parallels. Boom. In investing is above the shoulders mustard shit. It's fucking logical. It's math. It's numbers. It's spreadsheets. It's high frequency traders. That means all the direction is going in one. All the attention is going in one direction. Cool. I know. It's a fundamental truth. There's the masculine, there's the feminine, there's two sides of things. So if everything is going towards the masculine, I know that there's gains, there's arbitrage to be had in the feminine. So how do we apply the feminine principles to investing? That is why I talk about story. That is why I talk about ethical investing. That is why I talk about the narrative of a person or a board or a company. This is why I talk about the soft vibe of an industry or of a company, because those factors are not considered. There's an information arbitrage in the femininity of investing. Bar, please cut that.
Put that on a shirt.
Yeah, no, that's interesting because, like, you know, when investing in crypto, like, a lot of times you read the white papers, right?
Yep.
And try to understand the vision because,
Totally.
you know, you're just looking at digital currency. What is this? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
It's
Well,
interesting.
everyone is reading the white papers
Yeah.
and trying to come to different conclusions with the white papers. So, like, yeah, read the white papers, but, like, go to the Discord. What's the culture?
Yeah. It's
What's
like
the culture?
everything. It's like everything in between. It's like it's a thing behind the thing usually.
It's the connective tissue.
Yeah.
And that's the femininity of it. Like, what is nature? Is nature masculine or feminine?
Feminine.
Super feminine.
They call it Mother Nature.
That's why we call it Mother Nature. Nature fundamentally is the connectivity of everything. It's the root systems, it's the air, it's how the trees play with the birds play with the worms, it's the connectivity. And so I think that our ideal version of capitalism mirrors nature. I think that there's currently information arbitrage in the femininity of investing. So how do I, as a super masculine person, come off and go like, hey, listen, I actually think we should look over there, right? And that's why I talk about values and character within your wealth. I think that if you're in tune with yourself, if you're in integrity with your wealth, you're actually going to stay the course longer. You'll be more connected to your investments. Therefore, you'll care more, you'll invest more often, and you'll invest for longer, and you'll invest in better companies that are not exposed to bullshit. Because you're in integrity.
Why are you spitting right now? Why are you spitting? This is really good advice. This is really, really good advice.
So it's like, yeah, so there's two sides. The Western side, what Karen would say, no, do the right thing. Invest in companies that have DEI, diversity, equity, high diversity, equity, inclusion. Invest in companies that have high ESG scores. That stands for environmental, social, governance scores. Cool, you could do that because Karen is telling me to do it because it's a board policy. Cool. Or you could go and invest in a company that you look at their board and you go, no. The best ideas are winning here. I invest in companies that are what Ray Dalio calls an idea meritocracy. Idea meritocracy. Where if anyone has an idea, it gets heard and brought to the front of the line. I want all different types of ideas from different realms, from different people, because they have different experiences, and it's not about whether you're fucking Southeast Asian, whatever you are. It's because you have a unique experience of life, and we need all of your experiences of life to come in and think about this really hard problem that we're solving so that you can then contribute. That company is going to do fucking better than the company that just goes, no, we need a DEI score, like get a black person on the phone.
So let me ask you, has that because, like, you know, portfolio wealth management is such a results-driven industry,
Sure.
has that DEI kind of mentality kind of come in?
It's affected it in two ways. Socially responsible investing has done very, very poorly over the past 4 or 5 years. The reason for that, the story, the brand. It was very, very popular 2020, 2021. Since then, complete anarchy. There's a story about it that it hurts productivity. That's because big money came in and pimped out, big, like corporate America came in and pimped out this idea of ESG, this idea of DEI, and they started to extort it. Underneath those acronyms, there's a brand that frankly is bullshit, right? It's trash. Underneath there, at some point, we will return to the first principles truth that if you hire different people from different backgrounds that have their ideas heard, you will have diverse thought and better financial outcomes for the fucking company. Similarly, if you care about your environment, if you care about the people and social structures that you exist within, and if you care about how you govern your people, your company will do better over a time frame that matters. This is really critical. This is so critical. If ethical anything, if ethical business, if ethical investing was profitable over the short term, everyone would do it. It's not. It's profitable over the mid, sometimes, and always over the long term, if you can last that long.
Right.
Which is where the huge money is made, the most impact is made, but most people will never get there.
It's all about staying in the game.
It's about doing the right thing and staying in the game, which is the Buddhist principle of chop wood, carry water.
And that's why pussy is God and dick is power, baby.
No,
Boom, podcast. I'm just kidding. We still got more.
That'd be a good outro.
Bro, look, and I also wanted to just also talk about this. You do a ton of writing, bro.
Yeah, bro.
You do a ton of writing, and you have your own Substack called Outside.
Yes.
What inspired the creation of that, man, and why outside?
Because you got to stay outside. Come on,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
You gotta stay outside. And it's like, dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm the shaman hippie brother, but I'm also like, bro, I grew up on like Mac Dre and Andre Nicotina, and
Same.
and
That's why I say I'm a spiritual gangster.
you know what I mean? Like, and I always have that. Like, I played hoop my whole life. Like, literally, like, I'm like, this is two distinct parts of me. So one part of it is like, hey, bro, we outside.
We outside.
Which is like an ode to so many things. The second part of it is why I called it Outside is because I want to take a group of people that existed once inside or in the Matrix, and I want to try to take them and safely create a space for them to exist outside, create safety in existing outside. What that means is it means creating safety and community around critically thinking, as opposed to just being in a narrative or being told what to think. Which, by the way, is the principle of diversity, right? Diversity is the opposite of monolithic thought. So I believe in critical thinkers. I believe in leaders. I think that leaders create leaders. That's why it's so great that you guys are doing what you're doing. This is so important, is because we're stepping outside of the box. We're creating a spot to critically think, come to our own opinions with love and inclusion, right? Inside is a circle. Outside is outside of the circle. Do you know what's our responsibility as being outside of the circle? Whatever the fuck is existing inside the circle. That's our responsibility. That's what we have to step with. That's fatherhood, right? And so it pays an ode to a bunch of stuff, and that's why I called it Outside, is because, you know, it's an ode to nature. It's an ode to you know, our social dynamics, and it's an ode to a way of thinking and creating critical thinkers, which is so important. And that's why I created the Substack, was because I wanted to critically think out loud. I get paid based off my ability to communicate and my ability to make decisions. If I can't do those two things, I'm broke.
And we'll make sure to leave the link too to the Substack. Yeah.
Please do link the link. And so what I wanted to do with that is go, hey, I believe that my corner of the internet is dope.
Yeah.
Come be a part of it, and also comment on my shit, call me out on my shit, because I'm being authentic and true, and I want to improve my own mental processes. I want to become a better critical thinker. So how do I go out and get the best people, bring y'all here, and we can just bounce off of each other, right? And I can only do that if I'm being truly authentic, truly vulnerable, and also through the medium of writing specifically, because writing is fundamentally refined thought. You have to refine your thinking in order to write on any 100%. Level. And so that's why, like, what you do with the emailing is like so critical, So yeah, that's the impetus of Outside, and it's basically just creating a corner of the internet where people can actually improve their critical thinking, actually find other people that are doing the same, taking different perspectives, doing so with love and empathy. And lastly, which is the newer tip for me, is really people that want to hone in on their information diet. You are what you eat physically. Your mind is what you consume through your senses. We don't control what we consume. An algorithm controls what we consume. We do not control the algorithm. So how do we do that? How do we control what we consume in our information diet? We pick people to trust. We build our judgment, number one, so we can judge who's good and not good. Number two, we pick people to trust and go, hey, whatever that person's on, I'm going to at least look at it and independently consider it for myself. There's so many people that just simply are not able to discern. They have bad judgment. They put their trust in the wrong people, or they put their trust in no one, in which case they get flooded with everything. If you are not consciously choosing your algorithm, choosing the people that you subscribe to and follow and see on your phone or see on your laptop, it will get chosen for you.
For sure.
And that will optimize for emotionality and reactivity. And that is not a life that I want to live. That's not a mind that I want to have. So I created outside to bring people together to be conscious about what they consume, period. Everyone can have a different road with that. That's all good with me. Because I don't know anything that if we bring consciousness to it, it gets worse. So, and I think in today's age where productivity is commoditized, your ability to have judgment is in everything, right? So there's so many principles in that, and it's early days, and we're a couple hundred people, but I really want to solidify that and really grow on that because it feels really, really important to my soul.
Yeah.
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 Thank you for asking.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of your writings. And I specifically came across something on your prefrontal cortex page.
Get it.
And it's we kind of touched on this earlier, your 5-MeO DMT experience.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
And before we get into it, why don't you just explain to the audience what 5-MeO DMT is?
Yeah, so 5-MeO DMT is the strongest, one of the strongest, if not the strongest chemical compound, psychedelic chemical compound that we know of. It exists externally in some super crazy toad, I think, and it also exists in this room. It exists in all of our brain stems. It is the chemical that is released when we die.
Yeah.
It is the white light.
So is 5-MeO DMT the same thing as DMT that
So
everybody
you
else
got
talks about?
DMT down here, and then you got 5-MeO DMT, which is like 10x, no exaggeration, scientifically 10 times more powerful.
And is it natural?
Yes, it's naturally occurring. It's
like toad venom. That's
It's,
essentially what it
sure,
is.
sure. It exists exogenally in that, and then it exists internally in our brainstem. So it stimulates death.
Okay, so the reason that I bring it up and I'm interested in it is because, not necessarily for the psychedelic experience itself, but what kind of led you to decide going through this journey, right? Because you said it came at a time when, from the outside, it looked like you had it kind of all figured out, right?
Yeah.
And I want to kind of quote something that you wrote because I think it hit home for me and it resonated with me. While the world was being consumed by the pandemic, I was training, studying, and becoming the absolute best version of myself.
Yeah.
You said your business was growing, you made serious educational milestones, best condition your body was in, learning new languages. Pretty much, I'm gonna quote you, you said, I had skipped the pandemic and I felt like I had arrived. Yeah. Yet, I couldn't feel a thing. I couldn't enjoy food, couldn't be present during sex or training, couldn't feel joy, pain, or any emotion.
Yeah.
So, I find that very relatable, and I want you to just kind of take us through what that internal disconnect was like when, from the outside world, you have it all. Yeah. Everyone's like, Joss, why aren't you happy? Why don't you feel good?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, we all play certain games, and first we play the external game so we can play the internal one. Naval says it, where it's just like, let's get everyone rich so we can focus on things that matter.
Who said that?
Naval Ravikant said that. And I had gotten to a point in my life where I opted out of what was happening in the world. I played by my own rules, and I won, and I was winning. And I had so much imposter syndrome because I had never won. And I had been doing this, like I started in business like 2016. And so I was like 6-7 years deep, like low-key with no success. Some success, but very little. And I was starting to actually see money come in. And I was like with this beautiful woman, and things were available sexually and things were available financially. Everything that I had told myself as reasons why I couldn't be happy now existed. I had a critical moment where I was sitting down with dinner with my partner at the time, and we were in Panama City, in Casco Viejo, beautiful dinner, beautiful woman, everything was great, and also the world's like shut down, so this was just all amplified. And it was like a Tuesday. Meaningful shit always happens on like a Tuesday.
You remember this? Like the day of the
for
week?
sure,
Oh, damn.
absolutely. It was like a Tuesday. And
Club go up on a Tuesday.
club
too.
went up on a Tuesday. Club went down on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And she looked across the table from me and she said, Josh, you're such a good man. And that just killed me because she meant it. And what the resulting feelings and emotions and journey that came from that was complete shut off, because I had achieved the material level, which was not anything crazy, but it just for me represented, wow, I'm successful. I make six figures. I have this, da, 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 da. Wow, I'm here. I thought I'd never be here. Oh my gosh. And then the one thing that was missing was like validation. I was getting validation from women like that were not my partner, that I was not, that just was Latinas are Latinas, no? You know, and so, but I was not getting validation, true depth of validation from my partner, and she gave me that validation. And at that point was like this unlock, and in my mind I thought, yo, if I'm such a good man, why can't I be happy? Right? Do I not deserve happiness? And from that moment forward, I just started to shut off all emotion unwillingly. And worse than that, the one spot that I had got emotion through my life, found joy through my life, was sexuality. And so I wasn't able to, even in a sexual sense, experience any type of joy. Worse than that, if a woman even gave me a flirtatious eye, like tirándome los ojos, you know, she's looking at me from whatever, I would get this spear in my stomach. Please don't look at me. Please don't look at me. This is torturous. If my partner tried to be sexual with me, I would just simply shut off and go, I have no appetite whatsoever, and please don't express your desire to me because it's triggering to me. No idea why. And so I went through this process. The pandemic started to open up. This is 2022. I ended up getting a flight back home. I meet with one of my mentors. I share this information with him. I go, Steve Rio, bless your soul, love you, bro. Says, hey, this is an option for you if you want to step into this. And it was like low key expensive. And I'm like super tacaño, like I don't spend money on nothing. Like I mean, like Nacatamalas in the hood, bro. Like for real, I ain't doing this. I ain't doing this Provenza shit. Kevin Doe.
Don't get me started about cousin.
All love, but and so he said, this is something for you, and I don't do drugs, and so I was instantly like no. And then I was on the ferry home, and then at certain points, certain inflection points in your life, and oh shit, I'm at one of them right now actually, is you realize that there are so many ways that could work.
Yeah.
Feeling emotion again, or becoming successful in business, or landing your dream partner. There's so many ways that could work, but you know there's one way that for sure will work. And most of the time, we don't want to choose that way because it's hard. It requires deep self-reflection, looking in the mirror, a lot of effort, whatever it is. There's one way, we know it works, like in business. Hormozy says like, repetition, dude, do it 500 times and it's impossible not to be successful. Yeah. And so it's like, but we don't want to do that because it's the hardest route, but it's the one that works.
It's the one that works, yeah.
Right? And not all things are like that, but there are certain inflection points that are like that. I was on the ferry, I just realized, I was like, yo, I'm going to have to take this cannonball of a drug and just point it at myself, at my ego, at my being, which is this titanium fortress wall, and just press go, because that's my only hope of maintaining my humanity and not becoming my worst fear. My worst fear being an old, resentful, hurtful man. And we all know them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I knew that the current path I was on was leading to that. Resentful of women, resentful of society, resentful of my family, resentful of everybody, right? So I turned that cannon around and I just hit blast off and blew the biggest hole in my ego I possibly could, And 5-MeO is beautiful because you have no control. LSD, MDMA, mushrooms, you're kind of you have a sense of self. What 5-MeO does is, in my experience, everyone has a different experience. This is a fairly common thread. It turns off your sense of self, your ego, your sense of time, and your sense of space, aka your prefrontal cortex. Everything exists up here. And you are just in your deep brain and your primal stem, which is also known as dying. It's the first step, is that goes offline. And so I knew that I needed something so strong to blast a hole in that ego I had built up and all those ideas that I had built up about myself, about the world, about space, about time, in order to actually get through to whatever was beneath primal stem, deep brain. And that's what happened, is we got to what was underneath. And it was a beautiful time. So that's 5-MeO DMT.
Well, shit, can you share any lessons? I know, you don't have to share your personal story, but just anything that you came away with where you realized,
Yeah, man. I came out to the first thing as I came up out of the ceremony. I walked outside, and the first thing that hit me was, oh my gosh, she's not lying. And what that means and what it meant to me was, my whole life I observed love, specifically love from a mother. For instance, a mom is on the playground. She's with her child. Her child stubs their toe. It's bleeding, whatever it may be. She goes up to the child and she goes, honey, it's okay, it's okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. And I would always observe that just walking by the park, and I'd be like, yo, don't lie to your kid. Like, it's not gonna be okay. Why is it not gonna be okay? I was reading a bunch of Stoicism back then. I was like, well, because number one, you're gonna die. So like, the end is dark. Number two, this is the Buddhist pages. Life is navigating pain and suffering. So like, yo, hey kid, life is navigating pain and suffering, and you're gonna die. So like, no mom, it's not gonna be okay. And I had this like, yo, don't tell your kid the fucking truth. And I always had this mindset, and it's like, well, it's our job to navigate that, right? That pain, that suffering. When I came out of the 5-MeO, I was like, she's not lying. She's not lying, because in the end, it is going to be okay. Because I saw death. I experienced death. I went to the edge of the book, the end of the book, and I simply went, wow, I have so many years, so many pages, and I realized that I'm part of something greater, that truly, truly all there is love. Love is consciousness. Love, consciousness, God, same. All there is that. And my only job in my human incarnation is to love and express and play. If I love and express and play, then I may step into the realm of leadership, but I do not have to do that. My only job is to love, express, and play. Osea, meaning be, enjoy, dance. If you do that, you're good. And so that changed my perspective of everything, and now I go into every experience with that mentality.
That's a fucking bar.
It's not bad.
That's actually, just to add on that, though, I do want to ask you this question. I've also heard like a challenging question of people who take psychedelics for consciousness.
Yeah.
The concept of earned consciousness versus unearned consciousness.
Oh, tell me about it.
So unearned consciousness would include like doing anything externally to achieve that consciousness, as opposed to earned consciousness is just living the spiritual, going through the spiritual experiences of just living life to arrive at that consciousness. So here's the thing, is like, I hear both sides, and it's like there's beauty in both. But what do you think about that? Like, what do you think about unearned versus earned consciousness? Because a lot of people, we're in Medellin, Colombia, we'll get to that in a bit. A lot of people here also do like things like ayahuasca, guided mushroom trips, things like that. and that would be considered, I guess, unearned consciousness because they had to do something to take something to get to that, as opposed to earning it. So what do you think about that?
Let me connect it to something that's a little bit more tangible, which will resonate with the audience, which is just money. So you got earn money and not earn money.
Okay.
So we all know, like, if we really had to earn the money, it means a lot to us. We're connected to it,
Right.
and we steward it better, and it actually adds to our life. But if you win the lottery, come on,
Yep.
Yeah.
it don't matter,
Yep.
right? That being said, I can also say from a money standpoint, money is money. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Money is money. We have it's called a framing bias. It's a psychological disposition. It's just depending on where we got the money from, we treat it differently.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? And so that's kind of what you're saying with earned consciousness, unearned consciousness. So for me, I would say earned money and earned consciousness. I'm always going to prefer that because I had a limbic experience of obtaining the thing. So I'm more connected to the consciousness or more connected to the money. As a result of that, I'm going to respect and honor and have a reverence for it
Right.
in a greater sense. If I didn't, and I just took an exogenous drug or whatever it may be, or I just won the lottery, or I just did some fuck shit to get some money, then I'm not going to have the same spiritual connection to it. So it's going to mean less. It's going to have less of an impact on my life. I'm not going to have a reverence for it. I'm not going to honor it. There's going to be no level of worship for it. So I want that less. But at the same time, I understand that those are just mental framings. So if I get an exogenous version of unearned consciousness bestowed upon me, or I go and buy it with money, if I'm able to have the same level of reverence and connection with it, then I'll take it. But I also understand that fundamentally, it's just not going to mean what earned consciousness or earned money is gonna mean. You know what I mean?
Because I also noticed that, like, oftentimes people who experience these ayahuasca trips, psychedelics, oftentimes they come back and actually sometimes they get worse, or sometimes they don't actually do anything that changes, because I'm actually still a very fundamental, I believe in that if you don't change your will on this earthly plane, nothing will change. And sometimes people come back from these ayahuasca trips, and it seems like actually they've made an ego out of this experience.
Yeah.
And so that is the big concern there, and that's why I think sometimes unearned consciousness could be actually kind of dangerous.
Same with unearned money, no?
Yeah, exactly.
Same shit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, money is neutral.
But money is neutral.
Money is neutral.
We know this is a fact.
Yeah. Consciousness is neutral.
Consciousness is neutral. But we can take it and we can poison it, which again, it just goes to, like, if you go into an ayahuasca, 5-MeO, whatever it is, iboga, ceremony, and you are rotten.
Yeah.
Well, that mother awa, whatever, is going to come in and go, all right, this is nature. This is nature that we're talking about. It's consciousness that we're talking about. Consciousness don't care, bro. If the best outcome for nature is for you to die because you're so rotten, that is what it will do. Or it will exacerbate the cycle and make you more rotten and more rotten and more rotten until you self-destruct, because it needs to die. Because what does consciousness care about? What does nature care about? The goodness of the whole. I'll give you an example of a tree. A tree, very simply, is growing and trying to find sunlight. It's trying to find its structural stability. Everyone has a position in which is geometrically correct for them. And it's going to grow and try to find sunlight. Now, what happens if it overextends a branch and it starts to seriously get pounded by the wind? It's actually going to break off that branch. That branch is going to break. It's going to die. There's going to become a scar there. So the tree knows, don't grow in that direction anymore. So if you go into one of these ceremonies as a rotten person, which again, I have love for everyone, but if you know your internals are sick, you need to know you need to do your work, and you need to do your internal work before you go and do some external work, right? Which is beautiful. There's a path for everybody. I'm not trying to whatever. Nature, if you don't do that, if you don't do your work and heal yourself and put yourself in a position do your 50% of the job, for nature to come in and do the other half, or 5MU to come in and do the other half, it's gonna kill you. Because the best outcome is actually for you to be an example of what not to do, so the rest of us don't grow in that direction.
Yeah, interesting.
Because nature don't give a fuck about you.
That is nature. That is, would you say that's Darwinian?
That's some Darwinian shit, bro.
Yeah. And you know, the universe actually, God, the universe is actually an impersonal energy.
Impersonal. It doesn't care. My egoic idea of me, your egoic idea of you does not matter.
Not give a fuck.
Nobody cares.
It's like the most holy saintly person could jump off a cliff or jump off a building, and gravity would still work on that same person as the most evil man
Alive.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They would both be unalive.
Yes. They would both be unalive.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So it's like, damn, that's insane. You brought up an incredible, just an incredible point of how you gain consciousness through 5-MeO DMT, and I wanted to connect that to the city we're in right now, which is Medellin, Colombia. We're literally in the middle of a valley and surrounded by beautiful green mountains. Like, it's literally like a city in a jungle. And you brought up this incredible point that I thought about this before, where you could literally look across from us at an apartment complex, and there's somebody in that window who's experiencing a completely different reality to what I'm experiencing, what you're experiencing. And I'm literally sitting there like every day, and I think about this. Like, there's somebody experiencing a completely different reality 1,000 feet away from me.
Right there.
Like, almost completely different. And so I want you to kind of just talk about your perspective on that, and how that all kind of connects to everything we just spoke about.
I mean, I guess I would ask both of you guys, like, what is that evidence of? What is the fact that there are 3 million people here in a bunch of apartment complexes and houses living right next to and on top of each other, and yet everyone has this individual experience and individual perspective? What is that evidence of for you?
I think that, your reality is internal.
Reality is internal, brother. Exactly. Yeah.
And if we were to kind of go even higher with that, is like, we do live in a world of duality, but the truth is there is one consciousness happening.
Yeah.
Because if I'm able to sit there and perceive that about somebody else completely 1,000 foot away from me, like, that should say something about just how consciousness is the ultimate truth, and it's like we're all deeply connected to each other. Doesn't matter if I'm up here in this sexy building with amazing view, or the NEA, which is is kind of like a hoodie like that here in Medellin, right? That's on the barrio next to us. Like, we are all in the same kind of energetic frequency, because we are we're crossing each other's realities. These are realities layered on top of each other.
Yeah. I think you guys are both right. Like, to both of your points, like, two things become true because of that. Everyone is living their own experience, and as such, we can actually tangibly say that everyone's universe is locally created inside of themselves, right? At the same time, like, we think my stream of consciousness is coming from here. At the same time, and this is a beautiful meditation exercise, is there any evidence at all that you exist behind your face? You think that you exist behind your face. And I will leave you to come to your own conclusions on that, but it speaks to you're creating it all somewhere here, but you don't actually exist here. Which speaks to your point of, damn, I think this is an example of duality and non-duality. Duality meaning two polarities. We exist in the world of duality. This is a universal law. I don't know. I didn't make it up. I just looked at it.
No, 100%.
I just read the book. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who are we to argue with these ancient spiritual teachers?
I just read the motherfucking book, and I went, that's right. But at the same time, we can understand that the world of of duality is existing within the world of non-duality layered on top of it.
Yeah.
Right? Outside of it, link in bio. So I just think that's beautiful as hell. And also to connect what it means to be a nomad, to connect what it means from an emotional intelligence standpoint, is this, go get connected with that person's universe. They're creating their universe. You want to go interact with that person's life? You're creating their universe with them.
100%.
That's cool as hell. What do I want to communicate to men that are interacting with women? You're actively creating a universe, brother. You're not just sticking your dick in something. You're actively creating a universe.
100%.
2 of them. Maybe 3 if it all goes the way
Yeah.
it's supposed to.
You create another
We
universe.
call that conscious pimping over here.
We call it conscious pimping.
Conscious pimping, hashtag.
But but also understanding the fundamental idea that we live in a world with 8 billion people in this. That means you have 8 billion universes, 8 billion realities.
Crazy.
And when you actually understand that, it's so much easier to not get triggered
Yes.
by another person's universe. Because they see something completely different from you.
Yeah.
It's completely different. And there's no real point in trying to fight that. Because it's like, that's a different universe.
Exactly.
But these universes layer on each other.
Because they're connected to one fundamental truth, right?
100%.
Right? And they go, oh, so that's your truth. Oh, cool. I see. And that's, so you were talking about my skepticism growing up and questioning everything.
Yeah.
I just understood. I was like, oh, that's your truth.
Yeah.
I see and accept and get that as your truth.
Right.
And honor it and beautiful. Doesn't mean it's mine.
Right. Andrew Tate's universe is Andrew Tate's universe.
That's what Tate's universe. I don't have to step in the universe, or maybe I want to. Either way, I get to choose, right?
100%.
And that's the key thing about all of this, is that I get to choose. Most people, if they're just programmed by algorithms, or they're programmed by Western society, or Eastern society has programmed them, whatever, we're constantly getting programmed all the time. If we're a Karen or if we're a Tatiana, whatever, we have certain programming. The point is not the programming, it's not that. It's, can we rise above it and make a conscious choice? Do we have choice? If I have choice, then I can be a sovereign being. I can choose my path. I can write my story. I can exist in love, right? If not, then someone else is in control of me. They control my resources.
100%. 100%. If somebody can create an emotional reaction from you, they can control you.
They own you.
They own you.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Now, this connects and it segues into our final section of the podcast. This is the rapid fire question. The rapid question section. We're gonna call this Joss's outside perspective.
Hey,
We're getting deep. So these are just
hashtag, got it.
First thing comes to your mind.
I love it.
What would you name or title this chapter of your life right now?
Love becoming outside.
Okay. As a ball player, I gotta know, LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan, but just to piss off the young guns. That's it. Yeah, Jordan just to piss off the young guns. Yeah, I got you, brother. I got you.
If your life had a soundtrack, what song would be playing right now?
Oh, what a good question. Love Yours by J. Cole.
Dang.
Fire.
Okay.
Would you rather fall in love or make $1 million?
Fall in love. Stop it.
Easy. We already knew that one.
Stop it. I'm a lover. Come on, guys.
What's one book that changed your life and one you think is overrated?
Oh, dang. 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss is overrated. Is overrated.
It is actually.
And a book that changed my life was The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I've read that book in 2 languages. I've read it 6 times, twice in Spanish, 4 times
Great
in
book,
English.
great book.
Not a
Yeah,
word of a
great
lie. I've read that book 6 fucking times, and it has changed my perspective. I've got something from it different. It's like 180 small ass pages.
There's so many good lines.
And it's
in
just oh my gosh, love that book. Recommend it to everybody.
Do you believe it is already written?
Oh!
Nah, you didn't think I was gonna bust that one out.
Shit. I believe in contradictions. I believe in polarities. I believe that yes, absolutely, it's already written, but at the same time, you can step into different destinies. I believe in individual choice, absolutely. But if you step and you choose a narrative and a multiverse to exist in, that shit is written.
Every universe has already been written.
Absolutely.
It's just what you choose.
You at the mini mart. You going which one do I want? Do I want the universe when I'm with this queen, or do I want it while I'm single? Do I want it over here?
Yeah.
Right? What am I choosing as a conscious individual? Because once I choose it, I'm in it. I go. Right? And then you got to let go to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Shit. Damn, we got hella rapid fire questions.
Let's go. Man.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever done in a foreign country?
In a foreign country?
I know you out in the cut.
The weirdest thing.
Oh man, that was just like out of pocket. Yo, one time I went to a voodoo. One time I went to a voodoo shack in Haiti.
Jaws, bro.
Yeah, I went to a voodoo shack in Haiti, and I'm not gonna talk so much about what happened in that voodoo shack, but listen, I'm protected by the dark lights, the dark arts,
They got you.
and the light, and the light.
This motherfucker,
I got it right here.
Josh is a whole ass Harry Potter professor, bro. He's a dark arts professor.
Cast spells left, right, and center. I spell cast all day. Absolutely, great question.
God damn, okay. If you could give 12-year-old Josh one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, it's gonna be okay. You don't have to try. You're lovable. You're lovable, brother. You're lovable. You're so inherently lovable, and you're good.
What's your most toxic trait that you're low-key proud of?
I'm a love bomber, bro. I'm a lover for sure.
So you and Andrew Tate really got a lot to it. You got that lover boy method. You got that lover boy method.
For sure. The thing about me that actually my brother Henry Hilton gave me this game, and he was like, bro, the thing about you, Josh, is that you're 100% bad boy and you're 100% good boy. And so I can go into either of those. So my toxic trait that I'm proud of is I will love bomb the shit out of you. And I'm fine with that.
Hey, man, you gotta be fine. I'm sure these Medellin chimbitas are fine with it too, bro.
I don't mind at all.
If you died and came back as an animal, what are you coming back as and why?
Oh man, I'm coming back as I want to say like either like probably an orangutan, brother. I'm probably coming back as an
bro.
orangutan.
You come back some sort of monkey, bro.
Oh, you did say that shit.
Yeah, definitely say something like that.
Yeah, bro. I'm coming back as an orangutan, brother. And I'm just like maybe even a sloth to keep it a buck with you, brother. Just like observing
slow
shit.
pace of life.
Super slow, dude. I'm just up here observing. I'm an observer at the finest. And like I'll go down every 7 to 8 days for a little
like
shit,
sloths,
but
man.
people fuck with them.
Kristen Bell has an obsession with that.
That's weird, but
I'm going to save the next rapid fire question for the last one. I think it's a really good last one. So I'm going to let you ask the next one.
Craziest thing you've done for love?
Oh, the craziest thing I've done for love is let a woman absolutely destroy me. Is walk all over me. I've been such a fighter for love that I've had to kill myself for it. You know, and so I've done. You know, I've been in situations where women have been unfaithful and just proceeded to express their trauma on me, and I walk into the battle because that's who I am, and that's ultimately a mistake, and I've put myself through months of depression for that. So that's the craziest things I've done for love, and hopefully, si Dios lo permite, I've like learned that lesson, So.
Okay. What's one thing that people have a misconception about you?
Yeah, man, it's just that I'm a trust fund kid. Man. Nah, listen, I don't come from money. I'm from a different type of place, and I never went to a good school. I never had any. So
you tall, Jack the handsome, bro. You can't have it all.
No.
Nah, I mean, God gotta give you some type of shortcoming. You know what I'm saying? God can't make it that easy for you.
Yeah. So I think, and that's also, by the way, that's why I learned Spanish. That was a big reason why I learned Spanish, is because I was just like, I want to combat that. Like, I want to be someone that you're gonna judge me right off the bat, and I understand that, and that's totally cool. But I'm gonna break that judgment very, very quickly with love, or with Spanish, or with connection, or whatever it is.
100%.
That's really, really important.
You a cultured cowboy.
I'm a cultured cowboy, and I'm a cabrón clásico, you know.
Sir. Now, if tomorrow didn't exist, what would you do tonight?
Oh man, I would get on a flight and go spend a night with somebody.
Oh, Suriname, huh?
All right. What's something you used to believe was true but don't anymore?
Oh man, that effort is the way. That effort is the way. I used to believe that effort is the way 100%. Force, brute. I grew up on Kobe. You know what I mean? Like that
Mamba
was
mentality.
it. And Mamba mentality to the fullest. And I actually believe that if you're, I believe that's a necessary step, absolutely. But I believe that the best things in life and your highest calling, your best use, and your best work, your best being comes from the path of least resistance. You got to be like water, and so that's one of my current challenges is stepping into love in that sense of being like, yo, bro, what if it could be easy? What if you actually didn't have to crave from fear? And so I used to think it was all effort all the time, and now I'm like, wait a minute, what's the easiest way to go about this? But I do think that, like, you guys know, like, midwit meme?
No.
So, like, it's like you have, like, a Jedi on one side and then, like, a Neanderthal on one side and then, like, everyone in the middle, and it's that thing like that. I know you guys have seen it. Put it up on the screen. Thank you. And it's basically, like, at the start, you're like, well, I'm going to just do what's easiest. And then you're like, everyone's in this middle of, like, I have to work my fucking ass off. And then at the end, the Jedi is just like, I'm going to do what's easiest. And it's just like a lot of truths are the midwit meme.
3 things. First, you follow the rules, then you break the rules, then you create your own rules.
That's so.
What's a red flag in a woman that you think is hot?
No, not in a woman. What's your red?
What's your red flag you secretly think is hot?
Yeah.
I want to know about what's a red flag in a woman.
I'll give you both. I'll give you both. I'll give you both. My red flag in a woman that I actually think is hot is when a woman is actually defensive or not, like overly defensive. Because that, to me, I like a chase. I like a challenge. So like if a woman is like very fine, but like is low key like not fucking with you, and is like low key probably traumatized from it, which is that is a red flag. For me, I'm like, watch me work, right? So that is one, and a red flag in myself that I think is hot. I think I can be distant as fuck. Like I'm on the move. You know what I mean? I am a lover boy in that sense where I'm like, I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna love on you, and then I'm gonna get up out of here. And I'm not gonna do that in any type of malicious way. I'm not gonna use you or manipulate you at all. I'm gonna give you all of my heart, and then I'm gonna be up out of here. Like, yo, low key, that is kind of running. Low key, that is running. But I know women think it's hot.
100%, bro. Look. Like, I'm the same way. Look, I come in and I love, and I'm out. Bro, the 6th love language is distance. That's the 6th love language.
Put it on a shirt.
Yes, sir. Now, if you were a cult leader, what would your cult be called?
Oh man, the Ministry of Silly Walks.
All right, leave it to Josh, bro.
What part of yourself are you still learning to love?
12-year-old Josh for sure. Yeah, we're on a path with that right now. That dude was messed up pretty bad, and that guy has body dysmorphia. That guy doesn't feel he's worthy. That guy feels that he's dumb. Like that guy has a lot of stuff. So those parts of me, I'm trying to rewire, and not rewire from a place of force, but just rewire from a place of like me sitting down with me and talking to me, as opposed to like, go get jacked and go get hella smart and go get all these abilities. Like, no, I'm not. Listen, I'm gonna go do that, but not from that place. So I'm really trying to love on that part of me that's just like, yo, dude, like no one wants you.
In 3 words, describe your love life.
No tiene sentido. Or so
Right for the translation.
Yeah, it don't make sense. It don't make sense.
Awesome. All right, this is the final question.
Yes.
You're speaking to a global audience here,
Yes.
right? You're given a 30-second global broadcast. What are you saying to the world? Go.
At the end of the day, look to yourself before you look externally. Feel from your heart. As a man, you have 3 jobs. As a woman, you have 3 jobs. As a human, you have 3 jobs. Feel your emotions, feel your feelings in their entirety, in their ugliness, in their beauty. Take action consciously from your emotions, create from your emotions, build from your emotions, destroy from your emotions, whatever it is, just do it fucking consciously. And number 3, tell the truth. Tell the truth to your external world, tell the truth to yourself, and understand that lies happen in tiny, tiny ways. And if you're constantly telling the truth, it's going to be uncomfortable. but I need you to have faith that the universe that will manifest itself as a result of you telling the truth is the best possible universe.
Beautiful.
And with that, the man himself,
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Josh
brother.
motherfucking
Josh,
Biggins,
I
bro.
appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you
Dude,
guys.
let's go.
Beautiful.